cyberware. It sounds amazing. It feels amazing. But they don't tell you what it costs.
You alright, mate? Hey, you hear me? What's the matter with you?
Hello, user. You may call me Skippy.
Speed, power, endurance. They're all right here. Just don't let it go to your head. Or you might lose it. Control or power? The choice is yours. Oh, look at that. Okay, guns up.
Oh dear. Another ruthless kill. Your childhood must have been terrible.
cyberware. It sounds amazing. It feels amazing. But they don't tell you what it costs.
You alright, mate? Hey, you hear me? What's the matter with you?
Hello, user. You may call me Skippy.
Speed, power, endurance. They're all right here. Just don't let it go to your head. Or you might lose it. Control or power? The choice is yours. Ah, look at that. Okay, guns up.
Oh dear. Another ruthless kill. Your childhood must have been terrible.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Battlegrounds HQ. We are live for PLQ day number 1, winners round 1Q. And well, today we have 20 of our, well, they were in the top 22 teams for CC, but we have 20 of them fighting it out today for the top 10 spots into the finals. I get, well, what do you call it? Winners round 2 to make the finals on Sunday.
Yeah, super excited to get down into it after a nice little break. Hopefully everyone's rejuvenated after the. I feel like LAN always brings that little bit of extra passion to the region. Whether you're a fan, whether you're a player, I'm sure for our challengers here today, excited to earn that chance to be able to compete with the big boys in split number 2. And you know, maybe Zeta Division and APAC North isn't like the best example because they're all like Pro League players, but I think to be able to see someone go from qualifiers to be literally on the verge of like calling yourself champion at LAN, that could literally be any of these 20 teams that are stepping to the stage here today, as long as you're willing to hit the lab, put in the work over the course of the next couple of months. I'm excited to see it.
Exactly. I mean, we did LCQ last year as well for North America, and
True.
that team ended up winning that, won champs, and then also had a pretty good hit out at EWC, which is Sentinels as well. So it's exciting times for us, Q. We do have 20 teams out here today, though, who are playing over on Stormpoint and a district to start off tonight, which I guess we may as well go and see where they are landing for the folks at home.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at it. And, you know, I feel like especially when we talk about tried and true Stormpoint, you know, I feel like one thing that has gotten talked about, especially with the changes to the Trident, is how we've kind of seen some POIs that in the past have been considered more power POIs. Looking down at like Cenote used to be kind of one of your prio POIs, taken at 34th this time around. So it lets you know that we do see, especially our challengers teams are still making those adjustments to the map. So excited to see how it plays out over especially these first 3 maps.
Yeah, I'm excited. I feel like if you draft middle of Stormpoint at the moment, you're in God's spot. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Have to wait and see where these zones are going to pull for the lads today. But I do like the picks so far. We are obviously playing 2 maps today, Q, which means a district is in the mix as well.
It's interesting because we do see that quite a few of these teams were also prioritizing E-District, which I feel like in the past, not always the case. But I guess since you're ending on E-District, why not, right? You see Orange, I mean, number 2 picking up Canal Plaza. I also like over at Stadium, since we have seen a fair bit of, you know, like Heights, Uptown-ish sort of end zones, even down towards Humbert Labs as well. So Evil Sea Gaming, you know, being able to take advantage of a really early pick there too.
Yeah, and I feel like with this map, if you've drafted Northwest, you're probably in God's spot. So we'll have to wait and see how the games go today as well. But the 20 teams that we do have playing today, Q, are right here.
lot of fun to get down into. I feel like when you look across, I think the 30, I guess all of the teams that will be competing across the weekend, a lot of, I think, team names that maybe might not be familiar, but you'll see a lot of players that you have been seeing competing within the region for quite a bit of time. And I feel like we have seen, even across all of our regions here recently, Stoney, that sometimes it's just about finding that right fit amongst like your teammates, especially when you talk about currently with the legend bands. I think of teams like NIP, where Ninjas in Pajamas, where it's 3 players who had been around for a while, maybe hadn't gotten the credit that was deserved until they finally got into a situation that worked best for them. So excited to see if maybe we have one of those lurking in the lobby here today.
Like I said, we do have our 2 maps today, which is going to be E District onto Storm Point. So
oh, I have that backwards. Okay.
yeah, that's okay. We got it going today. But game number 1 doesn't look like it's too far away. Q, as everyone is in the lobby, and it does look like we're about to get into some action. But is there any team out there, any names that you see that you're looking forward to watch, or are you just trying to see which team today can make themselves their name?
I mean, I feel like when you look across the board, I don't know if there's anyone that necessarily stands out. I would love to see a team like Tosca potentially pop off with a decent day. Seeing some players in there that I've been familiar with for a little bit of time. But honestly, I am also, when you look across the lobby, excited to see some of the newer talent here. Maybe seeing a team like Fury being able to put up some big results. How about you, Stoney?
I'm excited. I kind of feel like I've watched a lot of these guys now for a very long time. So it'd be cool to see Meowers have a good day. It'd be cool to see Acquaintance get back in the Pro League. You'd have Toboshu as well, King MSG, who has won BLGS before. So, you know, there's a lot of names out here in the lobby that have the experience, but they have to go and prove it now today here in the 6 games. And well, top 10 is where they want to be, Q, to make tomorrow's winners round 2, and then they will get a chance then to make the top 10 and go straight into match point finals on Sunday. But it does look like we are loading into game number 1 already, Q, for our first game of PLQ action for Split 2.
It's crazy to think that Split 2 is already here and upon us, man. Lobby number 1. I think we might be missing a player, so I might have to.
I think his name is Dot.
Oh no! Yeah, it is the period. Yeah, period. Dot. Yeah, almost snuck right by me here. But also, I feel like, you know, at least in the past, I know in challengers we have sometimes seen teams go a little bit off meta in those like games 3, 4, and 5. I would expect games 1 and 2 to still probably play very similar to what we have seen in the Pro League. I mean, I feel like when you look at those first couple of legends that get banned, it's so consistent even across the regions. I think we can probably expect the same here today. But let's go ahead and take to the skies. We've got 20 teams in the lobbies, 60 players. Let's go ahead and get down and do what it does, Tony.
Let's go and see where we're heading for game number 1. And it does look like we might be having a South Zone, maybe Energy Bank to start off game number 1. We'll have to wait and see. If you're Toboshu, A-Team, or Scarlet Esports, you're hoping it does pull down to that South side.
You would absolutely love to be the beneficiary of that for sure. I feel like there's a couple of teams down there, and yeah, you're looking like we're going exactly down in that direction. If I had to guess, A-Team going to be really loving this call. I could continue pulling all the way down towards that bottommost POI, but I have a feeling probably more Humbert versus Old Town. But you'll have a couple of teams also, so won't have to go too far. And I had mentioned Evil C Gaming. I had liked as far as where they were dropping in down there at Stadium. They also won't have too far to go to be able to find themselves tucked in the middle of this ring. So I'm always excited when things get started at the Challenger circuit. We've definitely seen within this region, you know, at the Pro League, everyone chasing his own. We'll see if anyone's hunting out on the ring and trying to stack up some KP early here, Stone.
We'll have to wait and see. We do know the way Toboshu like to fight, and that is the closest team to them most likely will be eliminated early. A-Team probably pretty wary of that, so Toboshu It'll be interesting to see how they play this Q, considering that they've been given zone here for game number 1.
Yeah, I feel like whenever you have those teams that like to fight when teams come toward them, and I think we talked about it a lot even during the split 1 at the pro league level, how we'll have teams be okay with coexisting. To most, you get that option, especially with these first couple of teams that do pull up. Do we want to actually opt for it? I would imagine we're still rocking the 3 white tees. Probably going to be okay with playing a little more low and slow, make sure they can really dig in and get looted and booted. This is going to be with one of the zones, you know, obviously a lot of real estate to be able to be shared. Last thing you want to do is go into a late game scenario and still be sitting on, like, you know, low blues, right?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's why you might see them maybe be a little aggressive or just peek a little bit. But as we can see, Meow is at the moment rotating into zone already with some blue shields. So not too bad from their POI.
Like when we look as far as on the lobby itself, maybe not quite as... Oh, no, yeah, probably still going to be seeing that crypto ban here as far as game number 1. So, again, when we talk about looking through these legend bans, through these first couple of games, can't say that we're too surprised. I feel like we have seen the value, and I feel like crypto, one of those, it's like, we've seen some teams thinking in Apac-South, you know, Gen G in particular last year, when there's not very many cryptos, you're all right with it. When everyone's got a crypto, that benefit of having a crypto kind of gets lost a bit, you know?
They do. It does look like Trifilo. Need to be careful. I'm going to try and get a reset here. The closest scene to them is Rogue. So it does look like teams are rotating towards this very southern side. Most southern side you can get on the map queue to try and find a place to play.
Understandable, trying to see if they can tuck in, whether it's between Old Town and Humbert down here until they get just a little bit more information. They'll probably wait till that like ring 3 to see if they can figure out where they can tuck completely. But you figure teams like Evil Sea Gaming, we had mentioned landing over where they were at Stadium, they wouldn't have to move too far. A-Team as well, this is down in their direction. We were wondering if they'd be taking any early fights. We see a couple of shots being sent across the way. I guess you can call them warning shots with the wingman. But I think right now, what we usually see on E-District, while everyone might rotate early, there's not going to be too many teams getting eliminated probably until about ring 3 or 4.
And if we'll see a few teams maybe res farm some shields. As we know, a lot of that action does happen if you are stuck in zone. And it does look like, though, teams have kind of gotten their blue shields and rotated straight away to this south side. 20 squad still standing, no queue. We got a minute and 45 seconds until we head into round number 2.
Like in the spot that Rogue currently has themselves on, of course, one of those more elevated positions, should be able to take those pop shots across. And I think you had mentioned earlier, you know, they've already got their blues leveled up. They should just continue to be able to poke and prod, as they've got plenty of teams around them here to be able to continue working towards those Evo. Actually, looks like maybe even having a purple onto one already. DMA taking a couple of shots. Will have to work their way through this portal to try and find a little bit of safety. They've got the Caustic, of course, that can kind of lock down this area with those barrels. You mentioned Toboshu, a team that likes to take those fights. It's going to be able to at least get back up to a full 3 for now.
Nervous times for Toboshu, still on the grey shields at the moment, but it does look like we have Gen Z getting a little bit busy with it. Beautiful shots coming out as they do get the first down. They do get 2 downs now. There's only 1 man left standing. And well, they're going to try and clean this up and try and get the first team eliminated here. But Bitcoin to Moon trying to get away just for now.
To the moon. Yeah, and I mean, I guess if there's anyone that you want to be able to still be able to use late, hey, you've got the right person up. It's the crypto. Unfortunately, though, last person left alive. I guess the good news for them is they're relatively close to the edge. Should be able to get towards safety and get back to a full 3, but they'll be late to the party when it comes to finding a spot later on. We'll see if they'll be able to find themselves a nice little place to play later on. Scarlet Esports, meanwhile, more on this, I guess we can call it southwestern side. So also trying to find themselves a spot. They're one of our more latecomers to the party.
At the moment, not in a bad spot, though, for now. They can keep rotating around that south side and play edge, as we're kind of used to seeing in the pro gameplay. But as we can see, Lyra pretty close by to this team as well, Q. We could see a little bit of action still on this west side.
It's actually kind of interesting with Scarlet Esports because you mentioned it, a team obviously we've seen being played edge. They landed Shipyard, rotating really away from where this zone was heading. And it does look like, as we get a little bit more information, is indeed still pulling a little bit more Humbert's Lab way. It does look like Scarlet and Lyra, though, are going to end up separating ways. There's a chance Lyra could end up actually pulling up onto the backside of Forever 21 if they're not watching their 6. But as far as for now, it looks like MS will be the first squad eliminated.
MS getting eliminated. KPY getting the job done there. Rogue above them. Just going to try and hold it down for now. They do have the Caustic. So the Caustic on the zips, stopping the teams from inside being able to get up is not a bad play as well. I mean, we've had a lot of legend changes since Pro League Q. It'll be interesting to see how these games turn out this weekend.
Yeah, I feel like we'll really start seeing, I guess, I would imagine more of that diversity games 3, 4, and 5, right? I still feel like when we look at those first couple of legends, and also the fact that we're on E District may even, I think, cause a more of what would it be, cause for people to look towards Alter a little bit more in these first 3 games as well. We do sit back on board with Tosca as they're just trying to find some little bit of information. Going to be able to get that scan, obviously, remotely as well. Actually, when we look at Tosca's composition here, I'm a fan. Obviously, Crypto with the use in game number 1, but the Seer and the Axel lets me know they're looking to take a fight.
Aggressive gameplay for sure. If they want it, they could most likely get it. Tosca, though, still rotating in for now. A lot of teams, as we saw on the map, still inside zone. It does look like, though, KPY getting some kidnaps, and Rogue will get eliminated as well here. They're going to be our second team gone in round number 2, Q.
KPY getting shifty with it here. I like to see them pulling up the pace and trying to find some early KP. I feel like when you talk about teams in this lobby who know that they're in for a long weekend, Sony, if you could be able to build some of that momentum here in day number 1 in what should feel like, in all due respects, the lobby that you should feel most comfortable in, right? You and I talked about none of those 8 Pro League teams are currently that got sent down to relegation are in this lobby. If you can pick up momentum in Friday, carry that over into Saturday, Sunday, try to build the dream, baby. Let's see it.
Let's see it. I have to wait and see. Tosca now being aggressive. Like we said, they have the legend composition to do it. They will get the first down on Small Fish. And at the moment, Bitcoin to Moon, who look like they have just reset, back down to a duo queue.
Getting bullied. I feel bad for these guys, man. You mentioned just getting reset. We had seen them earlier. They were down to just the 1. And you see a great job by Vision to be able to turn and get some shots let off across the way, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to hold off the rest of this push. You mentioned Tosca, a team that does like to take the fights, and I think for now also going to want to make sure that they're playing this thing safe. They've got themselves on the edge of this zone. They want to make sure no one's on their 6, and because of the fact that there is no one there, they should feel comfortable pushing forward shortly.
It's like they tried to take the portal back. They will do it. Tosca now, though, maybe gonna try and clean this up. They do know it's only a duo. Down goes 1. LP Warrior now looking to move in, playing aggressive. They know there's only a solo left in here. Cute. Tosca really trying to get rid of this team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I like this play, right? I had mentioned they were looking to clear their 6. I didn't think they would teleport back into the storm, but Bitcoin to move, that was kind of their only play. They're trying to make something work here. I mean, once again, back to just having the Crypto alive. Should be able to get the med kit off in time as well. Meanwhile, it does look like Tosca has decided to go ahead and tuck tail and get back towards the zone itself. So I think they might actually be able to get back to a full 3 once again. Meanwhile, Fury, one of the squads that I had mentioned, are sitting in zone and just kind of waiting to see who's going to be looking to push them soon.
Gen Z still on the edge of the zone. Some beautiful shots there with the Hemlock as well. But 18 squad still standing with round 3s in front of us. Not a bad start to the game.
I like it here. Still looking pretty solid. Does look like gonna continue pulling more towards this backside of Humbert Labs on this the southeastern side, which means teams like SAT and try Philo, who you had said mentioned about earlier. Both going to have some pretty good spots. We did also see KPY. They had taken down a couple of teams earlier. They're not going to have a too bad of a position for themselves here as well as this zone continues to close in.
Fury curing few, trying to find a place to play here. They do have the Caustic lockdown as well. Reforms are very close by also. 18 squad still standing. Round 3, only 25 seconds left here until we get into some round 4 action, where I feel like we may see a fair few teams start to disappear, Q.
Yeah, I mean, rounds 3 and 4 is generally where things start to spice up on E-District, especially in these zones that do have a lot more real estate to be had. Orange, oh, yo, let me see a Krabby Patty here with a little bit of extra sauce, please, to start my day here in split number 2. Let me see it. He's gonna let off the shot, not gonna be able to find it there. There is still a chance though, as players continuing to rotate in from the north. I like the fact that you even see the teammate there pushing to try and apply the extra pressure, finding those knocks. There's going to be another knock here off the back of the patty.
Scarlet Esports will be getting eliminated. As we can see, the Cravers just kind of overlooking teams falling at the moment, but one day is going to move on in. The EMP comes in to help as well. Should be able to clean this up pretty easily. And just like that, Gen Z get eliminated. And Orange looking pretty good at the moment with 4 kills on the board here just for this Caustic.
I feel like for our player right now with the Kraber, it's like the Jaws music should be playing in the background, which is overlooking that fight, moves, and then it jumps through the door. It was such an amazing play to be able to find the one. I know it seems simple for a lot, but hey, you got to enjoy what we get to catch here to start off split number 2. This is where things will start to get a little bit more hectic as we close in towards that backside of Humbert Labs. Reformed able to find themselves a decent little spot. They're tucked just inside this southwestern side of what will eventually be the Ring 4 closing, but they've got quite a few squads that'll be pushing their position here.
So DMA maybe trying to be aggressive as well. KPY overlooking them. 15 squads still standing. Is I can tell you right now, we didn't have any games like this in any scrims throughout the week or throughout the month. So with 15 squads still alive, you wonder how many teams actually know where to play right now, Q. Round 4 closing and a lot of action about to begin. A small W look to try and find a way out as well, but it doesn't look good for him as teams are all looking down on him. And one team who have been here since the start, Tabosha, looking pretty good.
They are looking good. They're closing themselves their way in from the southwestern side. Maggie Ball is going to come out, and they're going to try and follow in right behind. See if they can make a play on the backside of this wall, kind of fling around the Rosie. You got the RE45 in hand as well. The only problem is where it's about to fall. Going to be able to at least take down Smile W, but the question is, are they going to be able to get themselves reset?
To wait and see. As we can see, Evil C Gaming looking to move in on the action as well. One team underneath them, Forever 21. So it slows down a little bit for now, Q. Good nades though coming out as well. Evil C Gaming just trying to find the right angles. The Caustic Trap's coming out. You see the climb up. Just like that, Taboshi also getting eliminated on the right side of our screen. Evil C Gaming getting the first down, but still playing this very slow.
Playing it slow, low and slow like a good roast, but I mean, I feel like they're grouped up together and should be able to continue to walk this thing on in. Forever 21 will look to stick. No, they're not going to stick to the pickup here. They've got, I think it's 2 teams that are pushing down on their area, and I don't know if they're going to be able to hold the flow here. Evil C Gaming back on board with them. C will now push forward, but they've already lost one of their players is knocked, and they've got a little bit to go to still make their way into zone.
So many teams trying to fight inside this area as well, as KPY looking to try and get away. Fury now down to a solo, trying to get the res. Forever 21, the closest team to them. As we can see, 3MZ trying to get a bat off here. Ooh, may most likely be able to get a reset, as A team are trying to swing in as well to try and clean up some of these kills.
Just worth noting that while all of this fighting is going on outside of the zone, it is Meowers, the only team currently sitting in the zone, watching the rest of the lobby delete itself. A team, can they survive all of this hecticness out here going on with this fight against Evil Sea Gaming is going to be the first question, because if you can get a reset with a full 3, maybe there's still a chance to fight your way on in, but when you've got teams like Meowers who are already set dead center, it's going to be the tough task.
Be very tough, but they're in a pretty good spot. As we see Fury still trying to fight their way outside of zone at the moment. Very close and in a pretty good position now, getting to set up with that caustic as KPY down to a solo. They get eliminated as well. We now have only 4 squads left alive as Evil Sea Gaming make it out of the tunnel somehow with a fair bit of KP.
Got a good bit of KP, and they're a full 3. I don't know if they'll be able to push themselves into a top 3, though. I mean, they're the ones that got basically all 3 teams that are looking at least in some way, shape, or form their direction. They've at least got Fury to their south, and they've also got to worry about SAT off to their left as well. Nice little overlook of this fight as it does start to break out. SAT does have to also, though, worry about Meowers, who is starting to close in on their backside.
Oof, man, just as you say that, Meowers looking good. Berry Cell and Empire getting some KP, but they will need to be careful. It does look like they have kind of opened up the push here for Fury to take control of the spot that they were in. And just like this, Meowers most likely going to go out in 3rd position just because of that. Well, we can see Evil Sea Gaming. I don't know how these guys are still alive. We've seen them fighting for their lives inside the tunnel. At the moment, they're looking pretty good here for game number 1.
You know how there's like the caster's curse? We've just kind of counted them out and they're like, you know what? Watch this. They've made themselves in, and because of the fact that all of the fighting took on the southern side of the zone, they're the team that's a full 3, and they're fully healthy. Fury, though, has been able to get a couple of shield swaps, and oh my goodness gracious, Steve absolutely beams, and that should be the opening that Fury need to finish up this last team fight.
Caustic traps coming out as well. They know that one has fallen down. There's only 1 man left standing. This should be an easy cleanup. Fury now only need to fight, I think, the solo from Meowers. Meowers get top 2, and Fury take game number 1 of our PLQ winners round 1.
Great start here for Fury in game number 1. 12 KP to go along with their 12 placement points, and doing a great job of being able to control that final zone as well. It felt like maybe once they had that fight with Meowers, it was going to be an easy cleanup for Evil Seas. Well, they were able to get the reset, and then, I mean, really it started with that absolute beamage from Steve to be able to find that first knock in the final 3v3.
A huge game. 7 kills for Noble, 3 for Lockchan, and 2 for Steve. A lot of damage coming out from the Crypto. You don't really see that too often, the most damage from the Crypto, and well, that is a pretty good start from the lads of Fury. And well, as we can see, 24 points for game number 1, Q. I don't think you can have a better start than that. We're going to have a look at our series overall as well after the first game. And well, it looks like Fury sitting first, Meowers second, KPY third, Evil Sea Gaming sitting in the top 4, and SAT in the top 5.
Obviously, the goal should always be to push as high up on the scoreboard as you can. This is competitive esports after all, but I think we do got to keep in the back of our minds, Tony. Sometimes it's just about making the next lobby. So for teams who maybe didn't have the best start here, hey, you know what? The fact that you've got a couple of point sponges at the top in game number 1, I might even cheer for Fury a little bit more, because I just am worried about getting in that top 10. You know what I'm saying?
100%, and not a bad start. You have to think maybe the 20, 25, 30 points, 30, maybe 30, 35 points would be the cutoff for top 10. So we'll have to wait and see for the lads, but at the moment, not a bad start. They'd say they're probably halfway there already, Q, with a pretty good evening ahead of themselves. And well, as we knew it would be, it does look like we are going to have a Crypto ban for game number 1.
So here becomes the question, because I feel like we saw this a lot through split number 1, where Alter is the second most pick, and then somehow Alter just stays the second most pick lobby after lobby and does not get banned. We did mention, of course, E-District being the first 3 maps. Maybe there's a chance, and of course we did see Alter with some of the changes start getting banned a little bit more often as well, especially in other regions. So maybe our challengers teams will adapt to that, and maybe we'll see Alter coming across here in one of these next 2. But I do got to say, not surprised with the Crypto with the 100% pick rate.
Yeah, Crypto out early. It's something we're not used to seeing, is it? So we'll have to wait and see if it is going to be a Seer ban to hit our screens in this next game. Map scenes, it is going to be a Fury win here for game number 1 on E-District.
Mentioned that 24 points is definitely a great start for them. You were talking about what's usually that cutoff, right? In a 20-team lobby like this, usually right around that 30, 35-ish points. You know, most teams, you figure if you can continue to skirt along, if you're getting yourself, even if just in top 10, you pick yourself up a couple of KP each game. If you can get above that like 6, 7 point mark consistently, got him. That's my first one for the split chat. Then you'll be doing all right as as far as that qualification mark for top 10.
Yes, not a bad start for the lads. We will go and have a look at where everyone is landing. Well, we are on E-District, so for that team Q, who won again, Fury landing at Neon Square. So not a bad win considering where they had to rotate from.
Yeah, I feel like we have seen on E-District, it's one of 2 things. Either you're given zone and then you're able to capitalize off it, or there's something about being on the far side of the map as well. So it's kind of, there's that double side of the coin. It's always interesting coming to E-District because especially those end games get cluttered, and I mean, it really does feel like it can be anyone's game.
Yeah, I mean, 15 squads still alive as well. There's a lot of teams standing. Yeah. So for Team Fury to get in the way they did, I feel like they maybe have played Edge a lot in that game as well. Kind of the same as Evil Seed Gaming, getting in and out of where they were. But game number 1, not a bad start here for the lads of Fury. We'll go and have a look, Q, at, I guess, our top 5 kills and damage leaders.
Take a quick look at it here, see our top performers after game number 1, and see how it changes over the course of the next 5 games. Noble, Mark, Lily, AK, we're going to call him AK, but one day, and then Alok-chan rounding out the top 5 there. 2 from Fury. I mean, can't say you're surprised when they pull out 12 KP in game number 1.
We'll go and have a look at our top 5 damage leaders, and it is going to be Empire Skull with a 2.7k damage. Game number 1, Mo Katon second, Mark Hilly sitting third, and Wei and Watson Momo in the top 5 so far for game number 1. It does look like we're not too far away from getting into the action here, Q, for game number 2. So far, so good. Is there any team that really caught your eye in that first game?
You know, we saw Tosca taking quite a few fights early. Unfortunately, it caused them to get out relatively early. So I'd like to see them have a nice little bounce back in map number 2. You know, this is still these early rounds. It's only 6 games. As much as one big pop-off game can put you in a good spot, 2-0 burgers can put you in a really bad spot. So want to see teams who, like Tosca, didn't have a good performance to see what they can do here.
I feel like we've seen a lot of teams do that in this year as well, Q. Start really well and then really just disappear off the face of the earth. So we'll have to wait and see how they are going to go here for game number 2. It does look like this game is starting as we speak, but so far so good. South Zone, 15 teams playing in that round number 4, I think it was, Q. So pretty good quality here in game number 1.
Yeah, and I like to see that, especially that we're in the early rounds. These are still our challengers team. You and I talked about it a lot during the course of split number 1, a region that I feel like in the past has been known to have some teams to like the fight, I guess is probably the most polite way of putting it. Seeing a lot more discipline, especially at the high levels. Seems like now our challengers teams a lot more adapting that style as well. And I really love to see that as somebody who has seen, talent who have been able to kind of quickly go from that challengers up to, competing for split to all of a sudden making a name in that split number 2 even. Think back last year, there were a few teams in a couple of regions that did that. So I would love to see some teams here in Apac-South do that here this season.
I think that's a good challenge for Fury now, right? To keep it going. 12 kills and a win. I feel like it starts on the Friday night. We got obviously a lot of Apex left to go for these guys, and especially if they don't make the top 10 Q. Oh, sorry, if they make the top 10, then don't make the top 10 tomorrow in that first lobby. They have to play again after that first lobby to make the top 10 to make the finals. That's a lot of game of Apex this weekend. So let's just try and get it done in the next 2 rounds here. And, well, Fury with a pretty good start, which means we are very close to be loading in to game number 2.
Let's go ahead and get down to it. Get to the skies and see exactly which direction we'll be heading. Do we end up getting a similar direction heading down towards Old Town Humbert Labs, or like you were talking about, do we see something more up in that northwestern side? Does look like maybe neither. Maybe probably though more up in the direction of Electro Dam Canal Plaza, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah, it could be a Meowers had a pretty good game 1 too, and they could be getting a gifted zone here, considering it could most likely pull heights. We do have a lot of them that pull around this northern side to where Bitcoin to Moon are as well. So it does look like we are going to Meowers. So it is looking like Meowers Reformed and crew will get a pretty good chance to find home a lot earlier here than majority of the teams.
Yeah, see, I was thinking more like that choke right up a little bit north of Smile, but I was definitely wrong on that one. You mentioned Meower is going to be very happy about that. Evil Sea Gaming, we had mentioned how they had a not too bad of a rotate for game number 1. They also not going to have too bad of one here for game number 2. They had a decent game in that game number 1, just shy of that double digits. They were at 9 points. We'll see if they can put together a similar sort of results here. A team, 5 points. We talked about for teams who are looking to try and get that 6 to 8-ish points per game, just around that mark, and then you wait for that one pop off. See if A team might be able to make game 2 their pop off game.
And his squad's still standing. Toboshu, well, they're not gifted zone this game, Q, so we may see a different side of Toboshu here for game number 2. Maybe they will see A team as more of a killable team early stages here of this game.
Yeah, and actually I was noticing as our scoreboard ticker was coming across the top, Toboshu, Toboshu is in a situation where maybe they would like to push and get just a couple of more KP, keep seeing if they can push that number a little bit higher. You mentioned they've got a team that they'll look to try and maybe very quickly close the gap on. They were the team that did drop here at Humbert Labs, but A team has already tucked tail, and they're also trying to find their way up north.
A team have decided to leave and head towards zone. Not a bad idea, well, considering as well the Evo Harvester is very close towards them, which will help their rotating in and hopefully getting a better jersey than a napkin, in which they are at the moment. On the blues, most likely we'll be able to head in with purples, the direction they're still going.
You were asking if there is a potential of us seeing a seer ban. If my eyes doth not deceive me, I'm pretty sure we went from 20 cryptos to 20 seers here in game number 2. So going to be seeing definitely a lot of those exhibits later on, and that's especially exciting to see for our fighting teams what some of these end games are going to look like when you get all that information.
Rogue has looked like they have left stadium as well, so they'll be heading their way towards heights at the moment. 20 squads still standing OQ with 2.5 minutes left. This is kind of what we're used to early stages of Pro League that we've been watching a lot of, but for PLQ, not a bad start from a lot of these teams, considering they have a fair bit to play for here this weekend.
Yeah, I'm liking to see the again, the very consistent play style and more of trying to mimic that at a sort of very topmost level. We mentioned how for teams who maybe didn't get the start they were looking for in game number 1, this is a time to still be able to bounce back. And even if you only have a half decent game in game 2, you're still in a spot where you're only a third of the way through this series. Teams that we were talking about were Bitcoin to the moon. They took a very early fight and they lost it in game number 1. They have themselves a decent spot here at Heights. Not necessarily the tallest room in the tallest tower, but one of the ones who does give them a really good lay of the land around them.
That's why Watson, I feel like, is a really good pick as well. The fences, obviously, breaching those windows every time they get destroyed. Bitcoin to moon, but they can be able to just relax for now. It doesn't look like too many teams are too keen to really send and get rid of their spot.
I do gotta ask you a question, Stoney, because there's one thing that I'm always curious about here in Apac-South. What's it with all the foods? I know orange can also be a color, but I'm seeing the orange, and it's early morning for me. Making me a little hungry, not gonna lie.
Oranges are healthy, so there's nothing wrong with that, my friend.
Still 20 teams alive, though, and a lot of them already piled in here towards Heights, and even still, I guess you can say a couple of teams still making their way in through Uptown. But at this point, you've got 1, 2, 3. Oh, feels like 12 teams maybe already here in this Heights area. There are a couple of teams that are on the far northwestern side making their way on in. But for teams like Bitcoin to the Moon, they're going to continue to play where they're at. They're honestly, I feel like Bitcoin to the Moon are going to be feeling really happy with their building right now, honestly.
I feel like every team that has gotten a spot in Heights at the moment will be feeling pretty good about themselves. There's no cryptos to get rid of the Watson now, so Watson becomes a lot more stronger. It just does seem like it's kind of too hard to push any of these buildings at the moment. But as we know, we do see a lot more Mad Maggie starting to come into play, usually around game 3 onwards. And well, it does look like Toboshi playing the Seer Altar Mad Maggie here for game number 2.
Yeah, again, a composition that I look at it and it just screams to me that you want to take a fight. Right now, only sitting on 4 points. Granted, only game number 2, but I want to see them see if they can get a little bit of fire started here in this second game. Potentially going to be rotating their way over. That's going to actually be, I believe, KPY, who was also trying to rotate their way in from the southern side that they're starting to let shots off towards.
Going to Moon, still overlooking Orange. Oh, we might see a little bit of Fury action as they're trying to rotate into zone as well. And that looks like it's a team that are playing inside the tunnel here, inside the waterfall. As a lot of teams trying to find a place to call home.
Yeah, I actually really like the spot that Fury is in because they're not in the, I guess, hectic mess that is inside of Heights. They'll be able to pick on some of these teams that are later to the party. Teams like Tosca, who will definitely be one of the last ones to it. They're all the way out here on this western side. I think that is, yeah, MS that's going to be sending shots towards them as Taeyu will be able to close this gap. They find the first knock, and surely that gives MS the green light to continue to push forward.
I'm pretty sure MS got eliminated first in game number 1 too, right, Q? So not a bad start here for the lads as they get some KP on the board. That is the only man eliminated for now, with 59 people still alive and 20 teams still out here.
And you'll see while we do have a few teams that have still yet to make their way in towards the second ring, they're all kind of separated throughout the map, so probably not going to still be seeing too much fighting. This is probably going to be another one of those games that we're going to be ring 3 closing in, and it might even be more teams left up than last game, maybe even, 17, 18 teams. So a lot of these squads, whether it's the buildings on the southern side of Heights or those ones towards the northern side, which again is why I really liked where Bitcoin to the Moon currently at. There's not too much real estate to the north of them, and while you do still have teams like Lyra and Gen Z making their way in, they'll basically be stuck back in that choke. So this is going to be a really hectic rings like 3 and 4 here.
Yeah. So much fun for me to try and find all these fights. Thanks, everyone. But let's go and have a look. Orange, very close to Bitcoin to moon. They will get the kidnap. Nearly getting one down here. But Bitcoin being a little bit aggressive here. As we can see, they're sharing the Seer ultimates. Both coming out. And, well, that means that everyone just kind of knows where everyone is.
Again, it's like the information is good until everyone has information, and then when everyone has wall hacks aren't as much of a benefit, right? You just kind of wait to see whose exhibit is going to fall first. It's that similar to like that bubble fight mentality, I guess you could say. And for now, Orange is going to be fine staying tucked away, and for good reason. We had mentioned how these teams, I feel like on the more northern side, will be one of the later teams to have to move. So why not just kind of wait for the rest of the lobby to start to dwindle itself down?
20 squads still standing. It does look like they have got on a reset as well. The team that did lose their player. So all 60 members still standing here. Round number 2 closing. Only 10 seconds away as Tosca looking to fight their way through. Energy bank here at the moment. We'll need to be aggressive, but just remembering that the reason that a lot of these teams are being able to reset and survive Q, well, Ultra's still out in the lobby.
Yeah, get that free little TP back to, you know, wherever you find a safe place to reset. However, when you're running against the storm, that's not quite an option. And luckily enough for KPY, once they get in, well, no, I wasn't saying once they get in the zone, they might be safe, but Tosca here is on the hunt, and that cue from Seer will give them the information that at least one of the players is over this way. And because of that, they're going to full send. They've got the action. They can close that gap quick, fast, and in a hurry. They're being met with quite a bit of resistance.
Yeah, LP Warrior might go down here as well. Kind of just ate the Thermite. That felt like one of my rank Ultra teammates for sure. But as we can see, Tosca might be on the back foot here. The Devo coming out. Ultra going to come in for KPY to clean up Tosca, and Tosca will get eliminated here for... well, they're our 19th team gone. We're going to have a look. I think there's a lot more action happening as SAT trying to find a place to play as well. And Evil Seed Gaming looking to try and get a reset.
I don't know if they're going to be able to, though. Shots getting sent their way. SAT on the inside of this building. It looks like they're going to be able to clean the fences. It looks like maybe have been able to tuck themselves away just enough to safety. Yeah, they've dropped down as a full 3, and it does look like indeed they're going to be able to get a full reset. SAT has no idea where they're at. Gen Z will now be our 3rd team to fall up in the top right-hand corner.
17 squads still alive. Gen Z has been eliminated. Does look like also Empire Skull from the hours getting some downs as they're just watching teams fighting below them, and it is going to be Skull getting another one down. Watson try and get the finish, and they will get one down, and I'm pretty sure they've gotten 2 down now. So Empire Skull, if they'd wanted to, Meowers could drop down and clean up that solar, but they're going to try and hold this spot for now because they're in a pretty good spot here in round number 3.
Got ultimate height. I mean, you saw, just from that POV there, right? It's like shooting fish in a barrel. There's really no reason to drop down just quite yet, especially knowing that there are still 17 squads still alive. Evil Seed Gaming will fall, unable to pick up any points here after having 9 in game number 1. Still unable to get across that double-digit threshold. SAT still safe in their building, but that's not the same story for MS. They're down here on this southern side. They've got a couple of teams between them in the zone.
Yeah, they're going to have to be careful. As we can see, Rogue looking to try and have a better game number 2. That was the 2nd team eliminated in game 1. As we can see, they're trying to queue in to find a place to play. And well, they've found a pretty good spot here, Q, in zone number 4.
EMA try and find themselves a spot. You've got a unlimited Kraber in the hand of your, unlimited ammo Kraber, I should say specifically here for the Seer, but Unfortunately, you've got one player who has to tuck away and be able to make sure they're fully reset before pushing forward. They've got a lot of space between them and the zone. Forever 21 will be able to pick up one as they'll look to continue to add to their tally as they're still sitting back with 5 points.
And beautiful shots from 3MZ. Forever 21 though in some trouble as we can see their teammate getting put down. Beautiful R9 shots as well. They're on the back foot at the moment though, as Lyra did get the first down. Nisir might be in a little bit of trouble. They will go down. P90 smoke as there's only one member now left alive, and that should be an easy cleanup. And Forever 21 going to be getting eliminated as Lyra hold off that push. But now it does look like maybe they'll have to hold the push off here from Bitcoin to Moon, as Small Fish trying to play as a big fish.
Unfortunately, they're playing the duo too, as there's a lot of trios still left around. Tuboshu, nice shot, putting sense to the G7 Scout, getting absolutely filthy with it, as Tuboshu just seemed to be heating up.
That was disgusting. As Small Fish trying to play as a big fish.
Unfortunately, they're playing the duo too, as there's a lot of trios still left around. Tuboshu, nice shot.
Fine, so not a bad game here so far for Tuboshu. 14 squads still standing. Game number 2, round number 4 closing. This is peak Apex.
What you love to see when we sign up for E-District, especially in these early games. There's still the Kraber in the hand of DMA's Seer here for RE, and I don't know if they've been able to find anything just quite yet, but they will have to move from this position and see if maybe there's a chance they can put a highlight reel together. Bitcoin and the Moon have been able to put themselves back to a full 3, and they've been able to put together a decent game too thus far.
Tuboshu getting eliminated. I keep just caster cursing people. I think I'm gonna have to say that's a real thing at the moment, as DMA still trying to hold off the push. You can see the CS scans coming in, the All-Star and the R9 in the hand, but Bitcoin to Moon might be in a little bit of trouble as DMA do get the first down. They're gonna move in, try and get the second. Oh my god, they do get down 2, and just like that, Bitcoin to Moon down to a solo and looks to be in a lot of trouble.
Bitcoin to Moon officially out in that 12 spot. 18 pulls up and says, ain't no party like a third party. And we want to see if we can make something happen. Q through the wall. Unfortunately, the Watson fences stun them. It allows for DMA to turn things back around into their favor. Unfortunately, they've already lost their Seer. That does mean that they're going to have to play things out for now as a duo.
Nicely done by this Watson from DMA. Getting some kills, also being able to hold down the spot where they were. Orange now needing to put their Seer ultimate out as well, as they're going up against Meowers here, as Meowers have been sitting and chilling for a while. Skull and Bakri though getting 2 members down here, and it does look like they might be able to try and clean this up. 1 member left standing. Need to play it slow. Skull waiting for Jay and Barry to get involved. As we can see the queues coming in. Barry's kind of going a little bit deep here, but gonna have to play this slow as there's only a little bit of zone on this height.
Let's try and play it though and be able to get themselves a reset. SAT, take a quick peek inside, and Orange will be deleted as we're now into a top 9 scenario. However, they're right underneath Meowers. Meowers find an opening knock, and that's going to give them an advantage in this 3v3. They've put themselves 1 layer lower. They've got themselves a little bit more room to play with, but they will eventually need to close down towards their southwest.
Skull is just having too much fun at the moment. 2.4k damage. 8 squads still standing. Sat needing to try and get a reset here, but they are stuck as a duo queue for now with 8 squads left standing.
This is tough where SAT is at as a duo, but unfortunately this late in the game, you're just going to have to try and see if you can make things work. There's really nobody that sits, I would say, nearly central zone. There's essentially a pair of squads next to each other that will have to fight as they close their way on in this 6th zone here. Fury, though, is still one of the 8 teams that is still left alive. And while they haven't necessarily put a bunch of KP on the board this game, they're still in a position where they can bolster themselves over that 35, maybe even 40-point mark if they can continue to stay alive.
Try Philo, however you want to say it. Trying to figure out how to stay alive here. Meowers, though, they have a bit of work to do here with this drop down because they know there's a team still alive inside this building, and it does look like they're setting up with their fences. And Skull, well, he's trying to go deep and try and figure out a place to play.
Skull, though, almost down. Oh, comes out of the portal. Doesn't matter that they're sitting at about 40 HP. Still has the gun and lets it rip and finds a knock. A-team going to be out in 6. Meowers have been able to buy themselves some space here as Bakery Boo will be able to throw that thermite out. Will be able to continue to allow for them to make sure that they're full reset for this push forward.
Truffalo looking to try and reset. Ultra Q's coming from below. They will get down one from Fury, which is now Fury on the back foot as a duo, which gives the team playing below them a chance to climb up. A top 5 for Fury after a win Q. Not a bad second game here for these lads, and that's what they're going to get, is a top 5. As we can see, KPY cleaning that up. They got a lot of work to get back to the high.
They have a lot of work to get back to the height, but they don't have much work to get into that top spot. If they have a potential to pick up just a couple of KP in this last fight, remember, they don't need a first place spot. They just need a couple of points. Meowers, though, have themselves the high ground. They can take a peek over this little barrier and continue to send pop shots down. It will be now a top 3 scenario, and it feels like as long as Meowers does not overextend, this should be their game.
Oh man, Skull's having too much fun at the moment. It is down to Jay and Berrycell to try and clean up this last member, and just like that, Meowers will take game number 2, you think, here for our PLQ winners round 1, and that is how you hold Godspot for the whole game.
They were gifted a zone, and they absolutely capitalized. They went crazy in game number 2. Meowers are one of the teams that you talked about in the pregame lobby, Stoney, and honestly, sitting at 37 points, I know they're going to want to push that total up higher, but I would imagine already feeling safe with their tally.
Yeah, that is a huge game from the boys of Meowers. Empire Skull with 2.8k damage, Berrycell with 2.4, and Bakary with 2.1. That is one of the biggest games I think I've seen all year from a team put together. Not just one person putting in damage, all 3 members over 2k damage, doing their part and getting the victory here for game number 2. We'll go and have a look at the match summary after our game number 2, and it is going to be Meowers with a 23-point game. It wasn't as big as Fury's 24-point. I was pretty close. Well, it's 1 point. That's pretty close. We'll give it a... But at the moment, Meowers looking pretty good. We'll go and have a look at the overall leaderboard, though, Q, heading in to game number 3.
Meowers is good enough for that first spot, but in number 2, you had mentioned Fury had a big game in game number 1, picked up an additional 8 points to round out the top 5 in that last game, so they'll be sitting in that number 2 spot. Has been the silent assassin, I would say, is KPY, sitting there with 29 total points. 20 of those being in KP, Reformed with 17, and Tri-Philo rounding out the top 5. But what does get interesting, and of course the later that we do get into things, we'll also be keeping an eye on those teams in that 8 through like 13, 14 range, and right now it's only a couple of points that separate those. So for the teams who maybe haven't had the start they're looking for, I mean, the dream is still alive.
Dream is definitely alive for now. We'll go and have a look at what legend is getting banned moving forward here, Q.
Show me that good old Seer getting taken off the board with 20 picks in that last one. 19 alters yet again, the number 2 picked legend. Let's see, does still technically keep that story alive of Alter just sliding by in that second most picked legend. But 2 recon legends off the board does mean we'll continue moving on forward. We do have 1 more run back here on E-District.
That we do. 1 more game left to go on E-District, and that is where we're heading next. As we can see, Fury and Meowers getting the 2 victories to start the day, and you can see the difference between the wins as well. Q Fury with 12 kills. I feel like they was picking the scraps out of the tunnels at the moment, but with Meowers on the height, 7.4k damage as a team, just all doing their part.
Yeah, you had mentioned the solid performance from the three of them, you know, all the way across, and it definitely reflects on that graphic right there. Definitely the tale of two different stories of how you can win a game while still picking up very big KP, whether it's just finding those last bit of damage or being the one who's, you know, completely out-fragging the lobby in the sense like we did see from Meowers in game number 2. But I guess as before we get ready for this next one, let's see who our top performers are through 2 here, Tony.
Let's go and have a look at our top 5 kills and damage leaders. And well, Mark Illy with 12, Fury Noble with 11, Empire Skull with 9, King MSG with 7, and Berry Cell with 6 kills. For our damage leaders, well, Skull definitely leading the way here with 5.5k damage. Berry Cell sitting second, Mark Illy third, Mokaton 4th, and 3MZ in the top 5.
That's 2 games down. We're a third of the way through this thing. And we got, as we mentioned, 1 more drop onto E District. And we've had 2 zones that are on our on our eastern side. Feels like we are due for a western zone. And what is crazy to think about is if we do end up with 1 more up in that City Hall area, which feels like we're due for 1, that means a team like Fury, who currently sits very high up in the standings, would be very much gifted a priority zone. So
they will. I mean, so far so good for zones. I feel like we've had a little bit of everything at the moment.
Yep.
And well, let's see if we will get a west or north zone here for game number 3. Not too far away from getting in to some more action. So far so good, Q. Is there any team kind of sticking out to you at the moment?
I don't know if there's any team that's necessarily sticking out to me. I just love the fact that with the story of we've had 3 teams that have really kind of soaked up a bunch of points here through the first 2. I mean, Meowers have obviously kind of done it with a nice little mix of the 2. KPY doing it a lot off of the back of their fragging potential versus placement. But again, that just means for these teams who are still wanting to make sure that they take the easier route. They don't have to. You want to try and play the least amount of Apex as possible through a long weekends of qualifications. If you're in that bottom 10 here today, you're in for a long weekend. So you want to try and at least on this last rendition of E District, scrape up, 6, 8, maybe even double digits, 10 points, put you in a good spot halfway through.
I like what you did there. You skipped a number. Well done. 6, 8. I like it. Well done. You're growing up. I love it.
I would say I can't hit it every time. I gotta make sure you aren't expecting it. You know
you'll
what I
be
mean?
in the next
that way
instant replay, mate. All right, you'll be in the next instant replay. Is that 6, 7? But we're getting into game number 3, as we can see teams about to be picking their legends, and well, so far Crypto and Seer being banned. Usually the third pick lately has been that Mad Maggie. But I've got a funny feeling we might see an altar ban here in E District because of just how picked she has been so far, Q, in our first 2 games.
Yeah, I think I lean a little bit more towards the potential of the altar ban, especially because, one, we've seen a lot of her so far, but also altar generally sees a little bit more of play on E District than your other maps. In all consideration, I mean, it's marginal, but it is still a little bit of a difference. So we'll see if it ends up being off the board. Otherwise, as I did kind of hint to after game number 1, if Alter doesn't get banned here, there is a very good chance when we switch over to Storm Point, Alter somehow skims as at like 2nd to 3rd most pick legend every single game until like game 5 or 6. So last time here on E District, then we will get a little bit of a change of scenery. We'll see for these teams who prioritize E District for their map pick, who haven't necessarily gotten in a zone their direction, do they have a chance here in game number 3?
I'm gonna have a look, and it is gonna be a north zone, which means we might see a Lotus game number 3 here, Q. Which was, hey, I'm not complaining. We haven't seen a Lotus zone for a hot minute.
Yeah, I feel like we don't get Lotus too often. I'm definitely here for it if it sends us up in that direction. And I have a feeling that Tosca would be here for it as well. Currently sitting at just 5 points through 2 games. If you're given a zone, maybe they have the ability to do like we saw in game number 2 from Meowers and really piece together a solid round out to the first half of this first set.
Small W getting a pretty good spot. It does look like we are heading to Electro Dam, which means most likely probably one of these buildings over here, Q, and it does pull back sometimes towards that area, but with it touching a lot on this side, I feel like these buildings here may be the place to play.
Yeah, I think of those two, Zev's probably more on the right side for sure, but we'll have to, only time will tell, of course. Now, Tosca, not gifted zone, but they won't have too far to go. Also, Meowers, who just had a heck of a game number 2, won't have too far to go from Heights, and they'll have all the information. I think they had both Ring and Beacon there, so they will know, they'll be able to get all of the information that they need. They will also be quick coming in from Heights, and we have seen them putting themselves into very strong endgame spots as well.
Small W playing exactly where I think Zone was going to pull here. As we can see, Bitcoin to Moon getting gifted a zone as well here in game number 3, which is, I feel like, pretty good for this squad, because in the first 2 games, Q, I feel like we slowly started to talk about them a little bit more and more.
Yeah, they were really fighting in that first game. Remember, they were, I think, our first team that lost a player. They were able to get 2 full resets, but just struggled so much to find their way in towards zone. Able to, I mean, kind of rectify the situation a little bit in game number 2. And then, like you mentioned, now they do have themselves a very strong spot with the fact that they landed here at Electro Dam, and it seems like zone is heading this way. You can't let Candle Trader go down early. Luckily, though, with them on this elevated zone, even if they were to go down, they should be able to get reset with no problems.
I feel like it's probably the best spot to go down, right? Being that far up, should be able to try and Evo farm just a little bit as well. So Small W, pretty happy with their spot at the moment. They did kind of land with an Evo Harvester right next to him, which is also great for him to try and pick off some kills here, because as we do know, as teams start to rotate into this zone queue, they will try and get those Evo Harvesters to get a better shield advantage. And as we can see, Small W, Robin, as I say that, team's landing right on that Evo Harvester.
Smile W, one of those teams that has some players, if you've been watching Apac-South, Apex for a while, you definitely recognize. They haven't had the start that they were looking for. They are one of those teams that could definitely benefit from a solid finish here. Meowers, hold on a second. They've already lost their altar, and if their altar were to be the one that does go out first, could spell some trouble. Luckily, they had already had that teleport up, though. They're able to get back to safety, and, well, that's the benefit of an altar.
And that is why altar is probably one of the best legends to pick right now, especially in this map queue. I feel like we saw a lot of it, a lot of teams that probably should have been eliminated early in game number 2 that did survive all the way to round 4, round 5, and that is just thanks to altar. So pretty good legend to be using here for game number 3, our last game on E District before we head to Storm Point.
Again, it's interesting for a legend that gives you so much value, but it's always just enough value to not be the most picked legend. And I'm not quite sure if that's going to be the case here. There are, I think I'm a quick scan, a couple of teams that don't have altar, but altar, a very highly picked legend here in this game number 3. We had mentioned for teams like Tosca, they're also in that kind of list of teams that would like to have a strong game number 3. They won't have had too far to rotate in. They were the ones who landed up at Lotus. Looks like they've got a squad right across the way.
As we know, they do have the Axel. Oh, they need to be careful here, though, because the members on this Valkyrie ult are pretty weak, and just like that, that Valkyrie will go down, which is perfect for Tosca to clean up. There's only one man left alive. Lyra get eliminated. Tosca getting some early KP here in game number 3. And it looks like they will take that portal back as Forever 21 decide to move in on the action as well.
Forever 21 says, I want a little bit of that too. And unfortunately, a little bit too late to the party. But hey, you know what? They'll still be able to continue looking for a space, at least as far as for that late game. They're going to be one of the later ones to the party, unfortunately. A lot of squads already up into that Electro Dam areas of the likes of Tri-Philo as well as SAT. It doesn't look like SAT is going to move up off of these stairs here and continue to chase. Although Tri-Philo are going to find another team just inside of this doorway. Does CJC decide to use that portal? No, instead sits back, gets taken down, Reformed on the other side, just kind of sitting in the safety of the low ground.
That's a nice cue through. What a play by Reform. Play Yoshi now needs to... Sorry. Yep, Play Yoshi needs to be careful. They do get 2 downs, but that is a beautiful play by Reformed to be aggressive to the team on top of those zips. And it looks like Tri-Philo now down to a duo as well, but Bitcoin to Moon most likely not expecting that.
They were definitely not expecting that. I really liked that cue, and definitely one that should be noted for some of the people watching if they're looking for ways to be sneaky, trying to play up into the high ground. Because if you go right up the zip, that team that's sitting up on top knows exactly where to wait. We had seen them actually getting swung on because they were waiting for them at that zip exit. So for now, Reform, not only are they able to pick up or kind of relieve a little bit of that pressure, but now they've been able to get reset. Tri-Philo, on the other hand, it's all left to Barbar to try and see if they can get their team back on their feet.
Small W looking to try and get the drag back here. Reformed being real aggressive. They will get rid of Timmy. And it does look like now Small W down to a duo as Bitcoin to Moon are trying to stay alive here on the height as well, as it looks like teams are trying to figure out where they need to play here for this zone number 2.
Going to move and have themselves a decent spot. They're sitting up on the one of the high ground areas. We'll see if they'll be able to use that to their advantage. Meowers, last time we sat on board with them, they had a player knock. They seem like they've been able to stabilize, and they're back onto the attack. DMA going to be all left to their Maggie. Try and see if they can get themselves at least a couple more points here, maybe even be able to get their team back in. But unfortunately, with it being so late as this zone continues to close in, I don't know where they're going to be able to.
It's going to be tough. KPY as well. Looks like they're rotating through City Hall at the moment. Round 2, 40 seconds away from closing. MS trying to find their way into zone as well here, Q. But 19 squads still standing. Round 2, 30 seconds away from closing. Quality on E-District. Top tier so far.
Looking good. I love to see it from our, especially remember keeping in mind this is 20 of our challengers teams. It doesn't even have our 8 teams that have been relegated into this process here. So to be able to see this at the challengers level is super exciting for the region. Bitcoin to Moon, we had sat on board with earlier. We had talked about their elevated position. They're still hanging on board up here, and they've at least been able to make sure that they've gotten themselves back up to full health.
Bitcoin to Moon, SAT. But that's a good point that you say, right? We haven't seen a single Pro League team out here today. They play tomorrow. So the teams that were relegated, trying to get back into Pro League, they're not even out here. And this is just the challenger teams who are, at the moment, proving that they deserve to be out here tomorrow. Obviously, they have some pretty big dogs to go up against tomorrow, as in Weibo Gaming and Fizz 6 Gaming. But well, at the moment, we're watching Tri-Philo try and get into SAT. And SAT, well, the Watson Fences doing its job.
Allows for them to lock down this layer here and be able to not only win that fight, they'll be able to get back to a full 3. And honestly, where they're sitting for now, they'll just continue to hold down this building. They maybe even look to try and clear their bottom floor just to at least expand the pressure that they have with this Watson. But for now, SAT sitting in that number 5 spot, should be able to continue putting up points in this game 3.
Have to play it safe for now. Reformed still playing their little tunnel at the moment. 18 squads still alive. We'll go and have a look at this zone once round 2 does close. But at the moment, Rogue pretty happy in their spot as well. They'll be looking for a pretty big game number 3 here, Q.
Yeah, they've had a really quiet day thus far, sitting at just 2 points. And while we did mention for teams heading into this 3rd game, there is still time. If they have yet another early exit, they will have to really rely on, at minimum, 1 pop-off game on Storm Point to be able to put themselves just in the hunt of advancing in that one of those top 10 positions. They'll have to back away. That's barrel arrow going to force them back a bit. Bitcoin to Moon going to be able to take advantage and just stay up on their height here.
18 squads still alive. Rogue is going to set up underneath for now. As we can see, it does look like maybe Tosca being aggressive also on the south side of zone. They're playing the edge at the moment, and the closest team to them to Boshu, as every team at the moment just trying to figure out their way into zone.
One of our top 3 squads is gone. KPY, who had been one of the disruptors in this lobby. They had 20 of their 29 points through the first 2 games. We're off of KP. We knew they like to take a fight. It looks like this time in game 3, they unfortunately aren't going to be able to come out on top of one of those early engagements, which means they're not going to continue to add to their tally. Taboshu, currently in 7th, not in a bad position on the leaderboard. If they're looking to try and put themselves in the mix of the top 5, it feels like placement alone isn't going to be enough. It feels like we've got a lot of consistency in our top of our leaderboard.
That would do, especially with the teams that are inside that top 5. I feel like they have all had kills at least in the lobby. 17 squads still alive though. We're going to have a look at this map as we can see it, Q, and well, so many teams still standing here for game number 3.
A lot of our teams have already made their way up towards that. I mean, those 2 zips areas, but kind of by Electro. It feels like a lot of teams expecting this thing to continue to pull up towards that more, I guess you could say, northeastish side of this zone. DMA, they've cleared most of their backside here on this eastern side, and as long as they can stabilize, they'll be able to slowly walk this thing in. They don't have much cover to play around, but they will be able to be clear just knowing they won't have very many teams around.
Evil Sea Gaming holding out DMA, but DMA, they hear the healing trying to happen, but they get put down. Evil Sea Gaming, they get the job done. The RE45 proving to show how strong that gun is at the moment, but Evil Sea Gaming, they're in some trouble as SAT and crew are looking to try and get some KP as well.
And this is tough for Evil Sea Gaming. They picked up 9 points in game number 1. They went out picking up none in game number 2 and another early exit here in game 3. They were able to at least put themselves over that double-digit mark, but as we talked about, the cutoff point normally around that 30-point marker means that they will still have to do some work once we get over to Storm Point. Orange here, as for now, slowly walking this thing in. Over on this northwestern side, Jackie has the longbow in hand. Does look like they'll finish cleaning up Fury, which now means another one of our top lobbies, or one of our top teams eliminated.
They are, though. Team at the top, though, doing pretty well at the moment. Still standing here, Q, with 13 squads left. And trying to get some more KP as they rotate into zone. We've seen a fair few teams drop all of a sudden. Round 4, 20 seconds away from closing here. And, well, 13 squads still out in this lobby.
There's that magic round where 3 and 4, 3 closes into 4, I should say, is really where things start to get hectic on E-District, and this game number 3 has been no different. Forever 21, they haven't had much cooking thus far in game number 3. They will have a bit of a gap to try and close between where they're at and where they need to go, but they've also got Tosca out here with them.
Tosca playing pretty aggressive legends as well. The Mad Maggie, the Altar, they definitely want to fight. They haven't had much luck in the fighting side of things. And, well, we're going to have to be careful here as well. Tixo getting put down. It looks like it is going to be a duo v a duo. And at the moment, Ning and Orange are, well, making Tosca not enjoy today, I feel.
Tosca definitely feeling a bit of a struggle here as they do fall early again. They're still within that top 10, but definitely not what you'd expect out of that squad. They'll have to wait for the rest of this lobby to play out and see if they're still in the top 10. But as we close into that top 10 of game number 3, none of our top 3 are still left alive as a team. Now going to be left as a solo.
A lot of teams falling down, and it is going to pull towards where that Evo harvester is. As you can see, A-Team as a solo, Forever 21. They realize that there's a solo in front of them. They're looking to try and clean up here as well. But with 9 squads left, you will need to be careful here, Q, considering this zone does pull towards that east side.
Over towards SAT, who was in one of those buildings that we sat on board with earlier. SAT really feeling comfortable. Forever 21 in a tough spot here, however. Luckily, the only one looking their direction from A-Team is a solo, because otherwise, there's a chance there would have been enough pressure to at least find a knock there. But they will be able to stabilize from Forever 21. The question is, will you be able to find yourself a spot in this next zone? You do also have Smile W down here on this southwestern side trying to make their way in.
18 getting eliminated, so Small W realizing there was a solo, and now we can see they're going to try and get this clean up. Beautiful shots by Robin. Small W looking good here so far. Need to try and be careful though, as it is Way the only one holding this building at the moment, as his teammate, well, being pretty aggressive as Forever 21 will fall over with 7 squads now left standing.
MS has had a slow day, currently in 19, but if they were to be able to pick up a decent amount of the KP that's left, they could very well shift themselves up into a top 10. Tim from Smile W deletes them though with the alternator. Smile W right now in a pretty decent spot when you look at their health, even after pushing towards this fight. Pretty well fully healthy after the reset, and now they'll pull in to try and find the white.
And the team that had only 2 points before this as well, Rogue, currently sitting in the top 7, but not much on the board for them. As we can see, Orange trying to stay alive as a duo. They won't, and it will be Small W that try and clean this up. As we can see, MS gonna swing the corner as they're trying to get the res. Beautiful shots by Happy, and now it's left to the Mad Maggie to try and clean this up with 6 squads left standing.
Fortunate for them, Smile W quickly got to a full 3. Now, granted, Robin did end up getting knocked yet again, but it at least gave them an extra gunny to try in this fight, but nades getting sent back. The drill also will help apply pressure here for MS, and that means Smile W could very well be in a bad spot here.
It's going to be a duo v a duo, so they do lose Robin, and Way, well, he needs to be careful. I don't think they have any nades left. There was a lot of nades being thrown out there. MS don't realize, I think, that the team has queued up above. Well, they do now as the Mad Maggie decides to jump up and have a look himself. 6 squads still standing. Last zone now about to start closing.
It's gonna be tough for these two down here on this western side. This fight's been going on for so long. Both teams are a duo. And when they finish up this fight, they'll have to start pushing off towards their east. And there are a couple of full squads, actually 4 of them, all still left alive, that will all be looking their direction. It starts with just the 2v2. MS though around the corner, and well, this squad has already found a way to safety.
Small W, they're gonna have to try and find their way into zone as well. SAT still alive. Bitcoin to Moon still in God spot as well on the hide. I feel like the teams that have been gifted zone so far today, Q, have really done well here in our first 3 games on ED.
Yeah, I feel like you look at, what was that, A-Team was the one that was gifted in game number 1, was able to have a decent game. Meowers in game number 2, and now here Bitcoin to Moon potentially could be walking away with a W. You mentioned that God spot, and it's just like shooting fish in a barrel from up top here. Is speaking of fish, it's Small Fishing Company that will look to push down here in just a moment.
There we go, SAT now looking to try and clean up the duo that is near him. As they know, Small W is only 1 left. Oh, they do drop down onto a 3-man. No Reform. They get eliminated. And did Reformed have any kills in this game? I think they played pretty well, but they only ended up with 1 KP in this game, Chief.
It's tough here. Not going to be able to add much to their tally besides those couple of placement points. Rogue started with a low tally, almost up to that double digits for now. Can they get themselves a full reset is going to be the question. It's a lot of pressure that's getting sent their way from the height. Sparty is able to poke up with the wingman, but unfortunately unable to hit their shots. Gran has already 45 in hand and continues to put in the work. Unfortunately, the 2v1 though is not going to be enough, and SAT will come out on top in game number 3.
Unfortunately, the fence and the wingman just wasn't too inspirational there for the end game for Rogue. They will finish second with, I think, no kills, but that placement point does help them try and get into the top 10 queue, because that is all that matters here today to make it into winners round 2. But just like that, SAT with a 13 kill banger. We've had a little bit of everything. Q 11 kill win, 12 kill win, and a 13 kill win so far here today for our winners round 1.
Our winners definitely bringing the heat. We've seen a little mix of damage between the two. I was like 3K in the first one, 7.5 in the second one. This one here, quick maths, is what, like 4, maybe 5K. So definitely a nice little mix of the two, mix of the kind of what you can get out on the battlefield. But for SAT, moves them up into that top 3 with a 25-point banger. A nice little mix of the two.
Not a bad start at all. And I mean, for us, Q, not bad to be watching either today so far with these games. The quality's been pretty insane, and I feel like teams that have been gifted zone have been proving that they have done the practice in their POIs that they have selected.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've definitely seen teams have been able to capitalize. I feel like when you look at most of that top 3, or not top 3, top 5 is all teams who have been gifted a zone. The only one that's not in there is 18. That's because they've struggled in games 2 and 3 after having a decent start in that first game. But I think when we talk about looking at the leaderboard overall, yeah, the top 3 separated a little bit. But again, now as we head down the home stretch, we're also going to be looking at that cutoff point within the top 10. We had mentioned it was probably going to be somewhere between that 30 to 35 point threshold. We're halfway there. You take that 16 points, you double it, puts it at 32.
Not a bad game. We'll go and have a look at what legend is getting banned heading into Storm Point. And well, it's going to be that Mad Maggie getting banned here for game number 3, which means game number 4, we're going to see a very interesting set of legend compositions for sure, as Cryptoseer and Mad Maggie getting banned. And as we can see, I feel like we'll see a lot more Valkyrie and definitely Alter in these next 3 games.
Yeah, I feel like Valkyrie tends to come out quite a bit once we have gotten through a few bans. Also, a legend that seems like it gets picked, I would think, decent share bit on Storm Point compared to others. So this is that fun part of with the legend bans where you get to start seeing where teams get to get a little bit creative, especially those teams, again, towards the back half of the field who are playing for their lives here. But we are officially done and dusted with E-District. We're also halfway through our series here. We're off to Storm Point.
There we are, Storm Point for our final 3 games of the evening. And well, so far E-District has been pretty good to us. 12 kills, 11 kills, and a 13 kill win. No shy of anyone really hiding for these kills or a victory, as definitely has been the best team winning each of those games. And I feel like we're going to see the exact same as we head into Storm Point. I guess the only thing we need to see now, Q, is who finished the top 5 kills and damage in those 3 games on ED.
Well, hit me with it. Let's see. As we're halfway through the series, it's Mark Lilly with 12, Empire Skull and Fury Noble with 11, Mocacton? And King with 10 here. So we've got a lot of players up over that double-digit mark. And when we talk about damage, well, Empire Skull has been far and wide away from the rest of the packs. Now has pulled up to 7,500 damage. I imagine was probably one of our Maggie players in that last game. But Vision Vex, Ning, Mocacton, and Barizal will round out your top 5 as well.
Oh, cute. We have now a 10-minute break. Thank God, in between game 3 and 4. We are old. We need to go and get a drink of water. I know I do. Anyways, I need a drink of water. I'm struggling out here. It's been a while since we've been on the mic, so I do appreciate you guys sticking around and showing the support to Battlegrounds HQ once again. We are the home of Apac-South. And as you guys may have seen on Twitter, we are not only the home of Apac-South for split number 2, we are the home of English broadcast as well for APAC North. So you'll be able to catch all the action here on Battleground HQ. So once again, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We'll be right back with more games, 3 more on Storm Point, coming right at you. All right, welcome back. Game number 4. Yes, we are all the way over on game number 4 next here for our winners round 1. So far, so good, Q. I think the only thing we need to talk about before we head into these Storm Point games is obviously where these teams are landing.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at it. As we have had a change of scenery, no more E-District. We're off to Storm Point. We did talk about it. It feels like with the changes to the Trident, feels like more if you're picking those POIs in the middle, you should feel rather comfortable. And I'm looking at teams like Fury, like SAT, who currently sit inside of that top 5. It feels like they should be feeling rather comfortable down the home stretch, as long as they don't even really have to add like too many like KP to their name, right? They should feel comfortable just along with placement from here on out.
Nah, I feel like, yeah, you're right, for sure. Meow was at down based in a pretty good spot. Tosca very close to them. And as we've seen with Tosca, they're playing pretty aggressive Legends. So you never know with a team like Tosca, they could, you know, push towards Meowers a little bit here in this game. But we'll have to wait and see how that's going to go. Evil Sea Gaming as well. They're starting to warm up a little bit as they had a better game in game number 3. But at the moment, Q, it's just the big dogs at the moment. Meowers. Who else we got? SAT and also Fury still sitting in that top 3.
Yeah, KPY not too far behind them as well. It feels like the top 4 kind of separated a little bit from the rest of the pack. You figure, I mean, you got 3 teams tied in 5th at 21. It's an 8-point gap between them and that 4th place. So definitely going to be interesting to see for team compositions wise, right? Do you still have people who still play pretty close to the chest, or for those teams that are maybe more towards the back of the pack, do they start to play a little bit more aggressive than the average bear to try and close that gap? But there's only one place to figure it out, and that is indeed out on the battlefield. We talked about it earlier. We're off to Storm Point for our final 3 games. Let's go and get down to it.
And I did say, if you drafted middle of Storm Point, you have had a fantastic draft here. And it does look like, well, we are most likely more heading maybe towards that command center north side, or it can pull towards Stormcatcher or that Cascade area as well. But teams like Small W, who started to get it going in game number 3, they'll be looking for a pretty good zone here as well for game 4.
Looks like pulling, yeah, more command center, or maybe even up towards Lightning Rod just a little bit. And that does mean for KPY, a team that has mostly had to fight their way into the top 5, now going to be gifted a zone. And I think now becomes the question for a team like KPY. 1, are you going to be able to read this in the sense of not trying to fight early, but also just finding a good spot and playing low and slow? Because again, they're also in that spot with 29 points. They don't really necessarily need to add much KP to their tally. If they can just rely on placement, they should feel comfortable as far as advancing in that top 10.
A lot of action, I think, unfolding here as well. MS down to a solo, which it does look like Bitcoin to Moon are going to get rid of them down at Devastated Coast. So first team eliminated here. Gen Z, the closest team to them at Echo, but 19 squads left standing, and maybe we'll see some teams trying to get some points on the board, knowing that they only have 3 games left, Q, to make that top 10.
Yeah, I am wondering if that's a little bit of what we just saw on our screen with a very early fight, right? I mean, that was Bitcoin to Moon. They landed at Launchpad. They're like, you know what? We're pushing down into Devastated Coast. We're going to take a quick fight and pick up some quick KP, and they'll now push up to the north from there. Gen Z will look to rotate out quick, fast, and in a hurry from Echo HQ. They're heading towards Coastal Camp. However, Toboshu, who had landed down there, already rotated out early as well. Scarlet Esports did not have the E-District that they were hoping for. They need to turn things around in game 4.
Does look like Scarlet Esports. They're going to move in on to Tosca as well. So Tosca looks like they may be moved in towards the Trident team. They will lose Tix, and now it's a 2v3 situation as Scarlet Esports looking to try and clean up these last 2 men standing. LP Warrior with the Fuse, the Gibby, and the Pathfinder. Very weird legend composition for Team Tosca, but it does look like they may be getting eliminated at 19th here, while Scarlet Esports running the Octane.
Hey, you know, I was going to say that I was going to need to think a little bit about the Tosca team composition, but maybe it's Tosca who needs to take some time to think about the Tosca team composition as they are set back in the lobby. And we'll now only have 2 more games to try and find a way into that top 10. Reformed currently sit inside of our top 5. Speaking of SAT, another one of our top 5 teams is going to be one of our first teams eliminated here in game number 4.
Yep. 17 squads still standing. KPY very close by. Reformed, they do get the full reset and they do get the Gibby back up, which is a pretty good legend to have left standing, right? The Gibby with the bubble coming out here early games. Meow is looking like a pretty reasonable comp at the moment. This is something that we're used to seeing. A little bit of Valkyrie, Gibby, and Watson. Oh, about the Octane though.
Yeah, you know, the Meowers composition almost gives me like shades of like the old Moist composition, right? Which I am always a fan of seeing. I've not quite the same, obviously, with no Newcastle instead of the Gibby, but I guess you can say still similar sort of vibes. It gives them a lot of flexibility, obviously. One, you have everything that you can do to hunker down, but also two, if you need to move out quick, fast, in a hurry, you can take to the sky with the Valkyrie as well.
100%. And you can do it with the Gibby bubble, right? So it's not like you have to hide behind a building. You can just kind of drop that Gibby bubble, get inside,
right.
And it's obviously amplified as well with the EMP bubble now. So the Gibby pick with the Valkyrie, I feel like is such a smart pick as well, considering I don't feel many teams in this lobby queue will be doing that with the Valkyrie, but Meow is looking pretty good at the moment. But as I say that, Trifilo doing the exact same legend position right here.
Understandable. It's a good composition to be able to hunker down. We got a couple of them still floating around here. If I can be honest, I'm surprised we don't have more Newcastle still left. So it's kind of interesting to see that dynamic change. Remember, Fury had a very big game number 1, 8 points in game number 2, and then a rather silent game 3. So while they do sit in a decent spot when you look at their overall points, this game number 4 could be crucial for them, because if they do have yet another early exit with low points, this is where Fury can all of a sudden go from feeling comfortable in their placement to, well, we hope that 33 points is enough if we can't continue to add to the tally.
Well, every team I've changed to so far, having the Gibby, the Valkyrie, and the Watson. So it does look like that is the teams that are taking this a little bit serious are playing, as Scarlet Esports looking to play the Alter Octane Sparrow, but with only the Octane left standing. 17 squads still alive here for our first Dawn Point game. 3 teams eliminated already with 30 seconds left for round 1 closing.
I'm looking at the Scarlet composition. It kind of just feels like, I don't know, what can we do? Let's try this, I guess? But, like, understandable as well, right? Like, you're sitting down in the 20th spot. You would either need 2 pop-off games, or you just need to throw everything on the table and hope maybe you can catch teams off guard. Maybe that's your hope with the Sparrow Octane composition, like that combo there. Obviously, as we saw on our screen, hasn't played out just quite yet. We'll tune back in later and see if maybe there is a chance. Meanwhile, Bitcoin to Moon, I like the duo with the Axel and the Sparrow, and they're getting shifty with it.
Yeah, they're getting aggressive. They do have, like you said, the Axel and the Sparrow, and this looks like the Axel is going to try and get 3 kills on the board here. There's only 1 man left alive. Candle Trader trying to find the Gibby, as we can see, and well, KPY, they're going to get eliminated at 17th position. Bitcoin to Moon getting some KP on the board.
It's interesting. We had talked about how this pulling up towards this northeastern side may give KPY a chance to capitalize on placement, which they hadn't done thus far. Not only do they not get placement, they don't add KP to their tally as well. It feels like this is the first time that we can say that about a team that has been given a zone. We've talked about Toboshu a few times, but it feels like every time we end up tuning in, things haven't quite worked out to their advantage. They do have themselves a little bit of gap to close between the zone and them. But the good news is they're the only team on the southern side, so they should be pretty well free of any sort of scares for a bit.
16 squads still alive. Bitcoin to Moon starting to wake up a bit here, Q. 6 kills so far. Round 2's only got 40 seconds left till it starts to close, but Bitcoin to Moon looking to try and play this edge side here, rotating in towards Lightning Rod. And as we can see, they can see teams setting up a home, and they'd be feeling a little bit comfortable now knowing that they might be in a pretty good spot if they can take this house in front of them.
Yeah, remember, this was the team that landed down at Launchpad. They pushed down into Devastated Coast, so then had to push up north. So understandable why they're one of our last teams to the party. But if they can push into this building and take it over, this is going to be a phenomenal spot for them towards the end game. The one problem, though, I do see for Bitcoin to the Moon, even if they end up winning this fight, is how are you going to lock down this building? Like, your team composition really is meant more to push than hold anything down.
Very true. Maybe they'll just have a lot of confidence in them if they do clean this fight, so maybe go and fight the building over at Lightning Rod as well. 16 squads still standing. They will need to be careful, so it looks like Lira will try and get that wall back up and re-energize that bad boy and drop some nades as well as the pylon that is inside that building. Bitcoin to Moon, though, they've realized maybe they're biting a bit too much that they can chew, and they're going to try and find a different place to play.
And good news is they can do a slight rotate up towards the north. They got the zip line. They'll be able to reposition. There's really not anybody up on this side of the zone, and they can kind of reassess their game plan from there. Meanwhile, for Fury, they're still in a pretty darn good spot. As far as sitting on top of this roof, they can kind of get a quick overlay of the land. They do have, I think it's 3 teams kind of in the different layers of this building, one of which being Smile W on the level right below them. But they do have the ability to rotate out if they want to reposition, if this ends up pulling away from them, because they do have that Valkyrie.
16 squads still alive. Let's go and have a look at the map, Q. I feel like we haven't seen everyone so far and where everyone is playing, and we can see a lot of teams still rotating in towards that northern side of the zone. We're going to see where we are heading as well, and well, it is definitely going to be that Lightning Rod area, but it could, I mean, I've never seen one pull one up to a height, Q, but that would be insane.
Yeah, it would be crazy if it goes up to that choke, but I'm with you. I don't know if I've seen one pull up there. It does feel like where we had sat earlier with Fury is where this thing is eventually going to end up going. The fact they're sitting up on that roof, definitely going to have them feeling pretty good. It is going to be tough for teams like Toboshu, who have gone from Stormcatcher, who have now rotated to their west down the southwestern side. They're all by themselves by Command Center. Could potentially come up through Gen Z, but Meowers also going to be looking to try and push towards, I believe that is Trifilo on the opposite side of this choke, and pick up some more KP.
Meowers safe for now. I think Trifilo, they might be, are they ratting? So they need to be careful here, Meowers. They don't want to be moving in too much. It does look like, though, Trifilo, they have moved out. They will get the down. Bakary goes down. There's only 2 members left standing, but Empire Skull, he's still out here. And he is looking to move on in on the action as well. As we can see, the Hemlock in the hand. He will need to be careful as he's playing the pylon for now, just for shield. Berrycell also needing to be careful as well. 30-30 in the hand. Oh my god, beautiful R9 shots. The Gibby has been hit 50. It is all up to Skull to try and get the clean up. Beautiful shots. Oh my god, there's only one man left standing. Empire Skull, can Meowers do it to him? Oh my god, Empire Skull cleaning up the business. And that is beautiful work from Meowers.
Steps up big, puts it on the table, should be able to also get their teammate back to a full 3. The only problem is DMA says ain't no party like a third party. And UCR, he has the Mastiff, wants to prove that that thing don't just bark, but it can bite as well. Swinging coming in from their teammate. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to come in quick enough. Actually, Mowers have fallen back. Berrysaw has been able to get a full reset. However, they end up getting absolutely deleted. It's all left to Skull in a 1v3, and Meowers will eventually fall.
Unlucky from the boys of Meows, but I mean, they did pretty well to hold their left standing and fire skull. Can Meows do it to him? Oh my.
That's nasty.
That's just disgusting. So they did well to hold off that team and getting the clean up. A team now looking to try and hold their spot, but Meows, I'll be still pretty happy with that game. Q, I think they ended up with 4 kills.
Yeah, I mean, they added 8 points to their tally. They started this game at 41. They ended, I believe I saw 49 before they ended up falling. So definitely feeling good for them, especially because I believe those SAT went out early, as did KPY. So those teams all around them, other than Fury, will not be looking to add to their tally. DMA do still have to fight their way up this hill, however, to be able to make their way in towards this zone. And right on the other side of this thing is A team looking to try and deny their entry.
With the Kraber in the hand as well from Utons. Needs to be careful though, as we can see. A team being aggressive. Beautiful nades coming out. Nothing hitting. The DMA definitely having the shield advantage here, Q, compared to the boys in front of them.
They do, but they're playing from the low ground, and if Anakin taught me anything when I was younger, it's tough to play from there and to be able to fight up into the high ground. But I don't know, maybe they are underestimating DMA's power, as Ari will throw the extra bubble up there. I'm not sure why you're giving them cover, my guy, as now it's A team looking to punish.
Yeah, here we go. Utons moving on in. Those nades are pretty good as well. DMA need to be careful. 18 get eliminated. It looks like Orange have come into play. They will need to be careful as well, as they do have a pretty good position in zone on this northern side, Q, for round number 5.
Yeah, I mean, right now where Orange is at, as long as they can solidify their spot, there is no one that can push from the north to them. So then at this point, they can just take this fight by fight. It looks like they're looking over towards their left, which is towards Reformed. But for right now, I think they're most importantly just wanting to make sure that they can get themselves reset. Reformed in a little bit of a sticky spot, though, because they have already used both their bubble and their gen's already down as well.
Gen Z still alive, as you can see. Their legend composition a little bit different to the teams left alive down below. As we can see, Evil Sea Gaming, they're very close by as well, with the Newcastle in hand, which does help the cause to be able to stay healthy for now. Beautiful ultimates coming out as well from the Gibby, but they will need to be careful as Gen Z looking to try and be aggressive.
Well, they are looking to be aggressive. That does mean that they don't have much to hunker down versus the bombardment. And it's a nice job here by Gen Z M to shred with the 9-9. The Hemlock comes out to follow behind. They will fall, but they did enough entry damage to allow Gen Z to wipe Evil C.
That is disgusting. Gen Z doing well, using the aggressive legends to their advantage. But if we go and have a look at zone, Orange in a fantastic spot here with 9 squads left alive.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the composition, something baby comp there, nailed it. That does, though, you mentioned as far as with that the Newcastle, they can build that extra little bit of cover for them, which helps fortify this position on this side of the zone as well. They've been able to earn themselves up to a couple of purple. I would imagine the Valkyrie probably not too far behind. Reform, they're going to have to fight their way in towards this zone. It starts with a 3v3 versus Bitcoin to Moon, both being able to get their third back onto their feet, looking to try and reset. Reformed will look to try and swing around the corner, but guess is wrong, and instead takes a little bit of additional storm damage, which makes this fight a little bit tougher for them.
Yeah, Quain's been a little bit too aggressive there, and then he gets caught out trying to get the shield swap, which I think they'd already gotten about half an hour ago, and now we've got 9 squads left standing with Bitcoin to Moon, looking to try and clean this up here with Reform down to a solo, and it looks like Boogsy has decided to ult away. I think he thought that was only a solo, but that is a full trio just sitting behind that rock, my friend. I'm so sorry. We are Orange now looking to try and stay alive as teams are all starting to move in towards this northern side, and well, they need their spot to win this game, and Orange, they're going to get eliminated as Rogue try and get some KP as well. Gen Z still alive, Bitcoin to Moon, DMA Fury also still alive. And they looks like they're going to go out a small W, trying to get some more KP. Q, this is chaos.
This is chaos, but you had mentioned Rogue, where they were at earlier, probably the best spot to be in, because most of these teams on the southern side are all fighting with one another and fighting against the Storm as well. Nexus, the last one left alive for Scarlet Esports, and will eventually fall. Smile W on the verge of falling, as well as Bitcoin to Moon have been having a phenomenal game, have fought their way into second place, and it's all for the back of the Axle as they look to get a little bit more crazy with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not even there, Watson. So they just, thank God to whoever's pylon is sitting there for that team. Because if Bitcoin to Moon did not have that pylon just then, Q, they were most likely all dead to that Gibby ultimate. So Rogue sitting in at top 2. They do have 1 kill, a little bit different to the game before. They'll be looking to try and get 3 more here and try and better their second place in game number 3 with a victory here in game number 4.
Yeah, they've obviously gotten themselves a decent amount of placement points. You need to add some KP along with it. Bitcoin to Moon, though, they move in quick, fast, and in a hurry. Small Fish says there's a bigger fish swimming where you're swimming. I'm trying to show you it's time for dinner, baby. Able to shred a second. Now going to look to be able to reload the RE45. It doesn't matter. Bitcoin to the Moon. Take game number 4 and move up into the number 1 spot.
What a game from Bitcoin to Moon. I was saying, Q, I feel like they're starting to warm up a bit. I feel like this team, we're talking about this team a lot in the last 2 games, and they're going to get a 21 kill victory for game number 4.
Bitcoin to the Moon came into game number 4 and they turned up the heat. Remember, they were the team that took our first fight of game number 4. They quickly pushed down into Devastated Coast and they took out MS. And then they did not stop fighting from there. 19 kills to go along with their 12 placement points.
21.
Talk about a... Oh, that's bad math by me. 20, you're right. That's bad math by me. 21 kills. That's
insane.
Even bigger. That's a crazy game. That's insane.
A huge game. 33 points for game number 4 is massive from Bitcoin to Moon. 21 kills, and not a single other team had over 10 kills. Gen Z very close with 9. But that is a massive game from Bitcoin to Moon. And like you said, they have moved themselves up to a very good spot on that leaderboard, and well, it doesn't get any better than first place. And Bitcoin to Moon, they take first over Meowers, and Meowers will be sitting second, with Sat third, Fury fourth, and KPY in the top 5.
Literally proving like the dream is Bitcoin to Moon. You've put yourself in the hunt. They were sitting at 16 points going to this. They are averaging just shy of that 6 points that I was talking about earlier, right? You keep yourself in the hunt and then you have one pop-off game. Granted, you're probably not expecting 33 points, but even like a half of that still puts you up within the top 5. Instead, Bitcoin to Moon seem to be looking to go to the moon here, Stoney.
Yeah, at the moment, they're looking pretty good. After that game, that was a massive game from the lads of Bitcoin to Moon. And we were saying the only way they could play in this game was be aggressive with the legends that they had picked. So Bitcoin to Moon looking pretty good here after game number 4. Let's go and have a look at our legend band. And it is going to be Gibby moving into game number 5. That will not be showing up on our board, which means I feel like we're going to see a lot more Newcastle moving into these later games, Q.
Probably going to be seeing some more Newcastle. I feel like also when we have seen Gibby off of the board during split number 1, we started to see a little bit more of the Watson as well. I think probably part of that is because you have the Watson Newcastle sort of duo, but I wouldn't also be surprised, or I should say, it wouldn't be surprised to also see an increase of the Watsons moving forward. But this is what's fun about the legend compositions, right? We saw teams getting spicy even in game number 4. It's going to continue to get that way as we take more and more legends off the board.
We're going to have to go and have a look, I guess, at our first winner over on Storm Point. And, well, I feel like we're just getting bigger and bigger kills at the moment. Q, we're going 12, 11, 13 to 21. If it gets any bigger than 21, I was going to say something a little bit naughty there, but I may...
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Two maps to go. Storm Point, obviously being the last map being played here today. So far, so good for these teams that are left out here. What's exciting for me, Q, is I think tomorrow we get to watch a little bit of World's Edge.
World's Edge is always fun to have a nice little spice in the mix, a good old classic tried and true for sure. But I guess before we get ready to load into this game number 5, let's go ahead and see how some of our top performers here, Stoney, have been looking thus far in the series.
Go and have a look.
Starting
Top
off, of course,
5 kills.
Yeah, our kills here. Empire's Skull still holding it down with the 14. Candle Trader, I think, adding their name to their mix the first time, if I'm not mistaken, for top 5 kills, along with Mark Lilly at 12. Noble and a McActon rounding out the top 5 with 10. When we look at our damage leaders, Empire Skull still sitting at the top, but that gap has been closing. Vision Vex must have popped off with damage. And game number 4 is sitting just shy of 8K. Small Fish showing that they are one of the big fish here in the lobby. Ning and Barrysol rounding out our top 5 as far as our top 5 damage earners.
So far, so good for those boys. Skull giving us a little bit of everything today. I feel like he has proven that he deserves to be in the big stage with some of the stuff we have seen from him. Just today alone, Meow is looking really good, sitting in that top 2 as well. I think what these teams need to realize as well, Q, is that they're playing not just for that top 10. You also need a pretty good draft pick considering, right? So you want to be, you know, top 5. I feel like you still get a pretty good pick, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have seen a fair few good picks in the top, like the 20th pick. I feel like a lot of the 20th picks in these PLQ, CC kind of stuff do get pretty good picks. So it is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting going into these games tomorrow. So far, we still have 2 games to go, but Bitcoin to me looking good.
Yeah, I think also, one of the biggest thing I mentioned earlier, sometimes if you are one of those teams who maybe you aren't fighting for a better POI draft, sometimes it's just best to keep in mind, hey, sometimes I just got to make the lobby. We've seen that even from teams at EWC. You skim in towards the next lobby, and then when everything's reset back to 0, a new POI draft, you go in with a different mindset, and all of a sudden you jump up towards the top of that next top 20. So I think for a lot of our teams, just taking these last 2 games, 1 game at a time here as far as for these last 2. I wouldn't be surprised, kind of like we saw in game number 4, to have a couple of our teams that sit down towards the bottom of the leaderboard, try to pick up the pace a little bit, looking towards, you know, the Scarlet Esports, the MS, although of course MS unfortunately went out early thanks to our top dogs from that game number 4 of Bitcoin. But I would imagine if you're in the bottom 5, you're probably upping the pace quite a bit in this game 5.
Yeah, I feel like if you're definitely down the bottom, I feel like we're going to see a lot more probably silly legend compositions for sure, just to throw off people that are in the lobby. It's probably throwing off everyone that's watching as well. As I'm looking at chat, I feel like there's a lot of people that are just like, can we just get rid of this team? But it is this is the stuff that you will see coming from the teams that are coming through Challenger Circuit towards that PLQ that are trying to make their way to Pro League. I think we've seen it a lot with Stinky B as well in the Pro League scene. I feel like they make Pro League and they will come out with an Octane Mirage Newcastle for whatever reason. But like this is Apac-South. I think this is why we love the region, or you hate the region, right? You get a little bit of everything at the moment here today. 2 maps to go. We do really appreciate you guys all being here once again. Like I said, does it like game 5 is just around the corner, Q.
Yeah, I think also the other thing to keep in mind when you start having the teams who are picking those like off meta compositions, when it comes to what matters the most in ALGS, which is the very last lobby on LAN, match point. I mean, we saw it at EWC. You get into those games 7, 8, 9. There is no meta anymore, right? Like you do have to dig deep into your bag composition as far as those legends to be able to put things together. So, you know, getting a practice in a lobby like this, while it might seem silly, could actually, funny enough, still benefit those teams in the long run. So show me all of the composition, show me all of the off-wall stuff. I want to see teams really digging into their bags of tricks here in these last 2 games.
I feel like, though, as well, if you do have a bad day today, considering, right, we'll say Toboshu, 25 points. They don't get any more points these next 2 games and don't make that top 10. that team only plays one lobby tomorrow. They don't have to play two lobbies if they don't make top 10, right? So they are only playing one lobby to make the finals. So it's not like they're having a disadvantage in some sorts. They kind of just get to chill out to the Arvo. By that time, you're going to have another 10 teams that are coming in. Who knows? Those 10 teams might be mentally not stable for that lobby. I feel like it's not too bad if you're bottom 10 right now to get into these games. So we'll have to wait and see.
If there's a team that is surprising me right now, I do got to say, in the bottom 10, it's probably Evil Sea Gaming. We saw them come out, I think it was like 8 or 9 points in game number 1, and then they're sitting down at 13 points after 4. They've caught a very rough go of things here these last couple of games. I think they can look back to that first game and they know that it's possible, because even for them at this point, you put up 7, 8 points here and then do the same in game 6, there's still a chance that you can slide yourself up into that top 10. You don't necessarily need a pop-off game if you can have 2 solid games here down the home stretch.
Is there a lobby, or have I not made it in? Oh, don't worry, everyone hasn't made it in. Sweet. 40
I think we're just doing
40 out of 60 people didn't make it into the lobby, by the way.
Well, because we're short on players, right? Did they cancel the countdown, I think? Or that try and get in?
Nah, I think that I don't know what's happened. There's definitely something going on. Well, that's all right. Well, yeah, it's not just me, thank God. But it does look like the game is not playing the game. So we're heading to the next code. But so far, so good for these teams. Q, let's go and have a look at the POIs, just so we can see where those boys were that won the game here for game number 4. And where did we ended? We ended up on Lightning Rod, and we had Bitcoin to Moon from Launchpad. Be pretty aggressive, rotating all the way up that hill on that eastern side. I'm pretty sure they went through East Trail as well. So that team getting a pretty big game considering on where they had to rotate Q.
Yeah, I mean, they started off by like pushing further away from the end goal as well, right? Remember their first fight, they pushed down in a devastated coast first with MS, wiped them quickly, and then pushed themselves all the way up that right side. They also got the benefit of KPY going out relatively early. I think opened up a little bit of that because I think KPY, if I'm not mistaken, was playing on that right side of the zone as well. But you know, sometimes you just you can only control what you can control, and for them it was winning those team fights. Really, it felt like that first fight with MS, I think because of how fast it kind of wound down, it let them like kind of heat up, and it was kind of like a microwave. Their next fight was super quick as well, and then they just rode the wave of momentum from there.
Very interesting set of games so far, with still 2 to come, Q, as well. Is there any team that you're really looking to try and get going in these last couple of games?
I mean, I had said when we started, I would really like to see Tosca put some things together. They've just had such a tough day. I would like to see them. They're in a very similar spot to like I was just talking about for Evil Seas. Granted, they're 3 points lower, but you don't need a pop off here in this game number 5 or game number 6 if you can just put yourself together a decent 6 to 8, 10-point game in each of the 2.
They're going to be an interesting back end of the games. All right, we'll chat while we're waiting to get into game number 5. We're going to hit you with a BRB because I don't exactly know what's happening at the moment, Q. It seems like the game might be a little bit broken. So we'll be right back. Stick around, go and get yourself a drink, something to eat, and I hope you are all enjoying your Friday night, no matter where you are watching from. Once again, we appreciate you guys hanging out with Q and Stoney over on Battlegrounds HQ. We have a pretty big weekend this weekend, all day tomorrow, Sunday match point, and maybe a little sneaky final stream next Sunday, if you know what I mean. But we'll see you all in a couple of time.
cyberware. It sounds amazing. It feels amazing. But they don't tell you what it costs.
You alright, mate? Hey, you hear me? What's the matter with you?
Hello, user. You may call me Skippy.
Speed, power, endurance. They're all right here. Just don't let it go to your head. Or you might lose it. Control or power? The choice is yours. Ah, look at that. Okay, guns up.
Oh dear. Another ruthless kill. Your childhood must have been terrible.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think everyone can actually ready up this time. So maybe the game is back. Maybe the game is back. We have to wait
We're
and see.
back,
But there's a
baby.
lot of green on the screen. Green on the screen here for our game number 5. As you know, it wouldn't be a normal day of Apex if there wasn't just something involved in it like this, that's for sure.
Let me get a hashtag esports in chat, baby. But yeah, it does look like we got everyone back in. Also excited because it looked like for a moment, Tosca was going to have to play as a duo. It looked like one of their players had their power cut. Hey, ended up making it back in the lobby. We got ourselves a full 60, I do believe, at this point. And ready to get back in. So just to remind everyone where we're at, we're going to game number 5. We're heading off to Storm Point here. So we are 2/3 of the way through this first lobby, but it's a busy weekend over here, as you were talking about earlier, Stoney.
It is. We've got winners round 2 tomorrow, then elimination bracket the one after that, and then match point finals on Sunday. So that is exciting here for PLQ. And what everyone is playing for, Q, well, that is a place into Pro League for Split 2 of Apac-South. Now, I feel like there might be 2 to 3 teams in this lobby that could possibly make it to Pro League. I do think so. But I do also feel like the 8 teams that have been regulated from Pro League into PLQ are pretty good as well. You got Weibo Gaming, who are just disgustingly good. I think we talked about it after Split 1. We both said, like, what happening? What doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what doing,
Yeah.
boys?
Yeah, I think so. Part of it, it felt like at the Pro League level, we saw a couple of teams. I mean, the cutoff line 1 for top 9 was super close, but also when we talk about that cutoff line to relegate teams was super close as well. I feel like that just goes to show the talent level altogether here in Apac-South continues to rise, which you absolutely love to see. I know here over at Battleground HQ, a lot of time being put in as far as, lots of different lobbies for scrims, people really taking it serious, honing their craft. Like you mentioned, I mean, we don't even have any of our relegated teams in this lobby. And I agree. I feel like there's a couple of teams that have shown the potential that they have a chance at getting into one of those top 8 spots. And remember that the qualifier process a little bit different between splits 1 and 2 as opposed to heading into split 1, right? Heading into split 1, it was over the course of 4 different open runs, right? So you had to have that sense of consistency. You only have to get hot this weekend. So if you're in this first lobby, if you can catch heat like a couple of the teams have this far, I'm even thinking back to Bitcoin, who literally just got hot game number 4. If you can ride that wave of momentum over the course of a couple of lobbies, you find yourself in Pro League.
And match point, right, Sunday. It's not like it's the 6 games. That could go 10, 11 games. You could be 20th, but game 8, 9, 10, You be in the top 8 and all of a sudden you're heading to Pro League. There's so much that's going to happen on that Sunday, but to get there, you've got to be consistent and it's got to be now. So have to wait and see. I'm hoping that they start this lobby soon. Otherwise, we're just going to be chatting your ears off, everyone, for the next, I don't know how long, until we give up.
Well, what is exciting because, you know, today does mark the start of split number 2. And I think one thing to make credit to your point, as far as I think on Sunday, when we get to that match point, we can just look back to LAN, right? I mean, Unlimited after game 6-7 was very down towards the bottom of the scoreboard. They win 3 of the last 4 because of the nature of the beast. The lobby just continued to roll. And that kind of goes back to that point we were talking about earlier. When you do get to those later games, it's about the teams who have the deeper legend composition, like pool, that they can really dig into. So Sunday, if you guys should definitely make sure you're here on Sunday of any day, because I'm definitely sure Match Point will always deliver here in Apac-South.
That's it. I mean, if you are watching over on the Red account over on YouTube, we will not be live there on Sunday. We are front page of Twitch on Sunday, Battlegrounds HQ. So there will be hopefully some new eyes coming and be able to watch the games as well here for Battlegrounds HQ. So if you are watching the YouTube, don't watch it on Sunday. We can't be doing that as well at the same time. So we do appreciate everyone that is here today supporting us. Like I said, yes, I feel like our Split 2 Pro League is going to be the most exciting Pro League that we are going to see in a very long time. The reason that I think that is because it is so compressed together, right? We have, me and you alone are casting 90 games of Apex before we get to regionals finals. Now that is a lot of Apex, right? That's a lot of Apex. These teams, you can think how much games they are playing moving into these back end of these games. And Q, I don't know about you, but you seeing the things that I see right here?
I see us loading into a lobby. I'm hoping to see that player tally get all the way up to that 60, though, is the most important thing. But yeah, we are getting ourselves in. It does look like potentially into a game number 5, but I would say the compacted schedule, again, I think, to your point, for teams who fight through this weekend, could benefit them as well. I mean, again, you talk about only a couple of weeks between now and the start of Pro League. I don't feel like we have seen really any shakeup yet as far as rosters in those top 22 compared to some of our other regions where roster mania has started. But if there ends up being any roster shakeups, you've already started warming up and getting your split 2 started. So I think the compacted schedule could really benefit the 8 teams coming out of our quals.
I don't know what the rules are too for these teams that are coming through PLQ2 Pro League. If they can roster mania as well once they get there, I don't know if they have to keep their spots.
I would imagine you probably have to keep your roster, right?
Have to be, yeah.
I mean, we have seen in the past. I feel like we've seen in the past, though, teams have qualled and then made a roster move. But I feel like that was more qual or open or sorry, split 1 versus split 2. I can't remember the team that did it last year in Americas, but it's been done. But I feel like it's hard to make a roster move that late, right?
No, I agree. I mean, it's going to be interesting anyways. It does look like we do have 2 DCs for this lobby though, chat. So as much as we would love to stay here and talk to you guys, we really would like to show you guys the Leejoy ads once more. I don't know about you, Q. I think we should just show them the Leejoy ads again, because Leejoy have been sponsoring us now for this whole split. And well, as we can see, they've given us some pretty big events. We got another... There we go. We got another Battle of Apac. We got another Battle of Apac coming in a couple of months. Oh, sorry, maybe in a month's time. Battle of Apac Series 2. And we also got something cooking up at the back end of the year, which may be one of the biggest tournaments that Apac-South OCE has ever seen, prize pool wise. Prize pool wise, going to be massive for everyone that is a part of Battlegrounds HQ and scrims for ASCL. There is 2 teams that will be able to qualify for this tournament as well, and I'm telling you, it is one of the biggest events that I have ever planned in my life. So I really am looking forward to this back end of this year. But we're going to be right back with some more Apex just around the corner, as it looks like the servers are back. but just some of our players are. So we'll see us all in a second, just in a second.
cyberware. It sounds amazing. It feels amazing. But they don't tell you what it costs.
You alright, mate? Hey, you hear me? What's the matter with you?
Hello, user. You may call me Skippy.
Speed, power, endurance. They're all right here. Just don't let it go to your head. Or you might lose it. Control or power? The choice is yours. Ah, look at that. Okay, guns up.
Oh dear. Another ruthless kill. Your childhood must have been terrible.
Well, that has probably been the funnest 10 minutes of my life, only because I get to chat to everyone in the game, which is a lot of fun.
Are you muted?
Am I? No?
Or am I tripping?
You might. I'm muted in Discord. I'm muted in Discord. I'm muted on again.
Oh,
My bad, homie,
I was
bro.
so confused. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
It's been a day and a half. We're in game number 5 and every single person is in the lobby. So we are getting into the back end of our games. We have 2 more games to go here for PLQ. Winners round 1. I mean, we had our fun talking to everyone in the lobby. It was fun as hell.
I was like, I know after we've had these lobby issues, I'm not going to have issues here in Stony, bro. I was tripping out, but... All right, here we go, though. Just again to remind everyone where we're at, we're heading into game number 5. Do we want to do drop spots real quick before we go? Nah, just go right into the game here. Game number 5, Storm Point. Remember, this is our first day. We got a long slate over here for Battlegrounds HQ. We start tomorrow at 12 p.m. as opposed to the 5 p.m. So make sure you guys are locked back in for that. We've got the double blocks both tomorrow and Sunday. 2 more games here. Let's get down to it.
Oh, let's go. Game number 5. What a 10. That was the most fun 10 minutes I've had for a long time. I'm not gonna lie. Well, we are at Launchpad, which is for Bitcoin to Moon, who won game number 4, Q. I don't know if they're happy with this or not, but it does look like they are pretty keen to get into some action straight away here.
Well, yeah, remember last time around, they pretty much just held W down here to Devastated Coast for a quick fight with SM, and this time going to be no different. Well, maybe slightly different, just in the fact that SM was more prepared. Matter of fact, SM steps away from Devastated Coast and meets them with that resistance pretty well right around the cannon here. But it does look like more of a standoff, at least until the Arc Star does come in. I feel like Bitcoin to the Moon's better decision is to back down, and that will be the eventual call here, as they'll be able to just back right on down to Launchpad, and they'll eventually have Zone heading their way.
All right. Sorry, guys. We are back. MS holding off the push. Beautiful. It looks like Bitcoin to Moon might have realized maybe they have Zone as teams are making their way in. Candle Trader is going to be the first one down. Happy trying to get the finish as Bitcoin to Moon do move back to where they think home will be. As you can see, SAT already making their way to a spot as well.
Yeah, so unfortunately, you push towards SM. You have SAT end up pushing right into you at Launchpad, and now all of a sudden you've gone from having been gifted Zone here as Bitcoin to Moon to now trying to figure out how you're going to be able to get your third back in. The spot where SAT is playing, we generally see teams are able to be survive down there, especially when they have that Watson pylon in the way that we do. Meowers currently sitting in second place. Looks like they're already getting things started here just outside or just inside of checkpoint as they're starting to get some KP onto their tally.
You will see Gaming getting eliminated. Meow is getting some KP. Tosca looking to rotate into Zone as well. So with 19 squads left standing, it does look like Meow is getting rid of the first team here as well. Scarlet Esports looking to try and get some KP on the board as well as they look to get aggressive here against Team Orange.
They'll come out on top as Orange has already lost one, and unfortunately it's their Newcastle, which makes resetting during this fight that much more impossible. And unfortunately it does mean for Jackie, hey, I gotta take to the sky and get up on out of here. Can you get out in time? 1 HP in a dream, and I think just by the skin of their teeth gonna be able to get out of Dodge.
I think the lobbies may not be that good. I've seen that fence obviously didn't go where they wanted it to go, so I feel like maybe everyone kind of struggling at the moment as the servers are making their way back to life. SAT, they're setting up home as well because it does feel like it's just that little bit choppy at the moment.
Be able to weather the storm here and see just how hard you can push things, especially after a little break as well. Doesn't make it any more easier as far as with the things as they're sitting now. For SAT, we did mention they should be all right sitting down on this low ground. They've been able to play wide with those Watson fences. And of course, if they do get anything, if they do have an initial knock, as long as they've got the Newcastle, you have that reset ability as well.
DMA next to them to Boshu. Now this is a team I'm really looking to try and get going here, Q. 25 points, sitting I think 9th or 8th position. It does look like Orange have been eliminated as well. King MSG and the boys looking to try and find their way, and if they can get a reset, I don't like their chances. It looks like G8 might have to try it now. Oh, he does. He's going to Valko out of here. He might be dead. He's dead. Toboshu eliminated. DMA getting some KP. And, well, as I say, that is a team I'm looking to try and get going. They get eliminated here very, very early on.
And that's tough because they're close to that borderline right now. They're sitting in 8th spot at 25 points, and there's quite a few teams that are sitting at 21 who should be able to close that gap as long as they just simply stay alive. Of course, I say simply stay alive. We make that sound a little bit easier than it truly is. For teams like Reformed, they'll look to try to continue to keep the gas down. We had mentioned at the top of things how that cutoff line felt like it should be somewhere between that 30-34 point marker. Reformed just need to get a couple of points in each of these last 2 games and they'll be there.
Forever 21 looking to move in on the action. They have got a couple of down inside this building. Beautiful shots coming out with the car. The Sheila's coming out as well from 3MZ. Need to be careful though. They're trying to get rid of the fences. This is the time you need that breach charge from the Hemlock. Get rid of those Watson fences. Beautiful shots coming down from the last man standing. Bergie does need to be careful. P90 smoke gets the job done. We'll be able to get the res as the Newcastle, and A-team going to be getting eliminated here at 17th position, which leaves 16 teams left standing here, Q, in round number 1.
Teams getting a little bit more aggressive. We wondered if the pace was going to pick up with some of these teams in the back half of the lobby trying to see if they can push themselves up into that top 10. A-team was one of them, and unfortunately, they're going to have to watch the rest of this game number 5 back from the lobby. Nice shot here from Bugsy with the longbow to be able to find a knock onto 1. However, I don't know if Reformed is going to feel comfortable enough pushing away from this building that they currently call home to try and pick up a singular KP. Right now, more worried about the long game.
And no, as they should be as well, Q, considering that they're only sitting on 26 points. It's not the best amount of points. Is it okay in a lobby like this? Most likely, right? 30 to 35 points, you're looking to qual. 26 points after 4, you know, they're looking at 30 to 35 either way, but you really want to stay alive for those later stages of the game. Round 2 not too far away, and with the position that they're in, Q, with this next zone, you can see they're just in. They're pretty happy in that spot.
Yeah, they got themselves a good position, and when you figure only needing to pick up a handful of points, even just a top 10 gets you 2. You can pick up a couple of KP. There's your 4 you're looking for in the next of the 2 here. I think more importantly, though, if they can really solidify in that position that they've got just inside of Launchpad, maybe there's a chance they can carry that into a top 5 and feel like they're already pretty well secured across that 34 or 35 point marker heading into a game number 6. As you talked about earlier, it's not just about securing your spot in the top 10. You want to try and push that needle as high as possible because you still have to take consideration as far as POI draft for tomorrow.
And considering the teams that are playing tomorrow as well, Q, that is something that you need to worry about. That is some scary teams, and having that 11th or 12th pick, I feel like that's kind of comfortable considering. So it does look like Meow is looking to try and find their spot to play, and they'll be pretty happy knowing that no one's playing bridge, especially seeing how much of zone was in around this area for the next one.
Be a nice spot for them to be able to lock down. They've got, you know, of course, the Watson to be able to play wide. And we've seen a lot of teams adjusting as we kind of anticipated. After game number 4 with the Gibby ban, a lot of teams reaching in for that Newcastle, like we see here on our screen with Rogue. And this was more like we were talking about in that game number 4, the very much shades of Moist and Apac-South, right? You've got the Valkyrie, the Watson, the Newcastle. It feels right at home in Apac-South, if I can be honest.
Yeah, it does. I feel like where Rogue are at the moment in a pretty good spot. They're starting to get going. They have had 2 games back-to-back top 2. Obviously not many kills for the lads, but they are starting to get going. Obviously their zone knowledge is pretty well, and getting to the end game is obviously the second best team in the lobby at the moment. They just need to get the kills going. That is the only problem at the moment for these lads.
Ours, unfortunately, going to lose one to a quick knock, but they should be able to get them right back up onto their feet. And then they'll be able to get the reset in from there. They're deep enough into this zone that there's no one that's going to really look to encroach onto their territory, even though they are, I mean, literally just a couple of meters away from one another. Barry's also going to get knocked, but hey, you know what? You've got a Newcastle. You'll be able to get brought right back up onto your feet. It's 16 squads alive. Does look like as far as moving forward for Meowers. Again, just poking and prodding with this team that is right next door. They do have the ability to sit on back, get themselves a quick reset here as well. Remember, for Meowers, they've had themselves a pretty strong day, currently sitting in that number 2 spot. And while not necessarily within the depths of Launchpad, they still will have a little bit of time until they have anyone that really pushes them away from the building that they're in themselves. There's that point as far as in round number 3, where a couple of teams will still have to make their way in from the outside of this zone as it continues to close. There's a couple of teams towards Pylon. ETC also looking to make their way up from Echo HQ as they had counter-rotated. Rogue, on the other side, has been just consistently sitting down and being fine, essentially setting up camp. I think they've done everything but brought the s'mores here, Stoney.
And you can see that zone pulling pretty much towards where Meowers, Forever 21 and Reformed are. So if you played that devastated coast area, you put yourself in a pretty good position. You go and have a look at the team of Bitcoin to Moon. Landing at Launchpad Q have made themselves all the way around towards Echo, now working their way towards the edge. Have put themselves in a pretty good spot as well here for this back end of the game.
And kind of out of sight, out of mind for a lot of these teams that were on the northern side that were thinking this thing was ending more towards that launch pad. MS, they've had a quiet day. You really need to get things jump-started here in game number 5. Gonna be able to find one knock. Unfortunately, Tayu's also been knocked as well, which means it's all gonna be left to the Bangalore to try to make the miracle plays happen, trying to stay away from the team that's hunting them down. Is it gonna at least get the bat finish? I don't know if they'll get fully reset here, Stoney.
There's only one man left alive. That guy inside, outside is pretty bloody injured as well. Needs to be careful though. He's going to go down to the zone. He doesn't even get a chance to reset himself. And it looks like Scarlet Esports trying to get some KP on the board as well. And more Scarlet Esports, they've only got 14 points overall after 4 games. This is what they kind of need.
This is where we talked about teams starting to move with a different sense of urgency. The problem for Scarlet Esports is I don't think they're going to be able to make their way into the zone with the 2 players that are knocked, which means that it's going to be all left to the one lone Sparrow, leaving the door open. And I mean, I just don't know if they're going to be able to get their teammates back into it. I don't think placement points are going to be enough to put them in a position to be able to put themselves in top 10.
No, they're going to get eliminated. So Scarlet Esports go out at 14th. KPY holding out the boys. And that's going to be the end here for game number 5. And I feel like that's kind of the most upsetting part of it. Just how long they've had to wait to get into this game and then going out like that. Probably not the best part. As we can see though, Rogue looking to get into the skies and figure out where they're going to play. Let's go and watch them as they try and find their spot in the skies.
See if they can find a nice little spot tucked up underneath this bridge. It looks like is where they're going to look to play. Of course, they should have a nice spot to place that Watson pylon. You can stop and drop your Newcastle wall as well. It will put them in the middle of a couple of squads, but for now, they seem safe.
I don't really like that spot considering there was no one on the bridge. I feel like a bridge would have been a lot better considering, but we do see a lot of teams prioritizing low ground here today, Q, compared to the high.
Yeah, I think the worry is even if you have a nice spot on that high ground at any point in time with the Valkyrie still being in play, one or even two teams could look to push on your spot. Heaven forbid two teams both look to push on the bridge at the same time. Whereas if you're underneath, you can at least still play around your fences, your pylon. I guess I kind of get it, but I definitely think that the elevated spot would allow for them to pick up more KP. So it's kind of a give and take sort of scenario.
10 squads still alive. Rogue very close to Meowers. And as we can see, a lot of teams starting to get going. Fury still alive as well. After their game one, Q, they've been kind of quiet. Looks like they are kind of coexisting on this little bit of a platform with Reformed.
Yeah, keep in mind, Fury had, what, 24 points after game number one, and still yet have been able to cross over that 40-point threshold with a couple more points having been played. So looking to try and see if they can do that here in this game number 5. They only need a couple more points to do so, and granted, they're still in 4th place. Keep in mind, the whole goal is to make sure you're in the top 10. And it feels like being at 38 points, they'll at least be safe in that regards. Also, Fury playing a little bit different of a composition than most, opting for the Rampart as for that third.
Looks like Gen Z have taken the height here on the bridge, and not a bad spot as well. I have to say, I take back what I said about Rogue. They've put themselves in a really good position here, Q, for this last bit of this game, because it does look like this zone may finish low ground here for round number 6.
And gives them that extra cover to be able to play around as well. Again, you have less people playing in, not only from the high ground as far as with the taking to the sky with the Valkyrie, but from those missiles as well. So, I mean, similar spot for Meowers on their low ground, feeling really safe. But for now, they're going to have to push out and try and see if they can pick up some of this KP on the low ground.
Kind of hard for the team there that did rotate in. I'm pretty sure that's Reformed. They've kind of put themselves in a position where everyone was going to look at them, right? Boosie now is the last one left standing. You have 9 squads still alive. Rogue, look at their positioning here, Q. When I was saying before, I feel like they should have played high ground. I don't mind where they're playing now, considering of where this zone is pulling.
Yeah, has a great read, and right now sitting just inside the bubble, but a big pop-off and a finish here in game number 5 would have them feeling safe heading into our last and final game. Also, speaking of safe, Meowers maybe not playing on the top side of the bridge, but just up above in that middle layer, also feeling pretty safe in that regards.
Oh my god, beautiful shots coming down there as well. It does look like Reformed somehow got a reset. Forever 21 going to set back with the Newcastle wall, gets a new energized wall. KP White now trying to get the reset as they're left down to a solo. It looks like Gen Z starting to make some noise as well. Fury very close by, and I feel like the teams that do get this clean up on the height here, Q, in a pretty good spot considering as well.
Yeah, usually when we see things end down in this direction, it's like one of these small little, I guess like hexagon sort of platforms, as long as you can hold things down. Fury in a decent spot, but the problem is they're not quite as fortified in the shields regard as you would like, as far as some of these other teams sitting on the full perf, teams like KPY. Unfortunately, Mark Lilly, the only one left alive for their squad, so KPY ends up out in 8.
Beautiful shots. Fury now moving in, trying to get a game going on their side for once since game number 1, being very, very quiet. Q has Fury. 43 points they're sitting at the moment, but also still alive, by the way. 57 points and sitting in top spot. Meowers looking pretty good on this northwestern side of zone.
Yeah, they're in a good spot, but they do have one of the longer rotates, and they're pinched back at the moment. Kind of out of sight, out of mind from most of the lobby. They do have the option for a Valkyrie if they want. I think the one worry, though, is if you go to try and lock in, does your Valkyrie get taken down? You had mentioned Fury trying to get things cooking here in this 5th game. The Rampart helping them create some extra space as they slowly walk forward.
As we were saying before, Fury Steve, he wasn't very happy that everyone was stealing his kills in game number 1 as the Crypto, and as we can see, he's going to try and get some more KP here. He's got the double tap G7 on the height. Doesn't have the infinite ammo, but it does look like they're going to set up on this height, and well, I mean, they're in a pretty good spot, Q, because they only have to drop it probably in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, they were one of the teams that will have to move the least. Most of these other teams that have tried to fortify their position, whether it's with the Watson fences or behind their Newcastle walls, they're going to have to leave their fortification here soon. Meowers, they do have a little bit of extra help from cover on the low ground. They've got this big old rock that they can play around, which actually keeps themselves locked away from most of these teams. Man. They might even look to wrap around into the high ground.
What a reset, by the way, from Reform. So they landed here earlier. The only man that was left standing was Bootsy. They have now gotten all 3 members back up, but since then, they are in a lot of trouble. Rogue gets some KP on the board. They have 6 kills in a top 3 situation. We have Meowers, Rogue, and Fury left standing. 3 teams who are starting to get it going here in these games. Meow is now trying to hold off the boys from Rogue. There's only 1 man left standing, and that is the Newcastle. Should be an easy cleanup. That's a beautiful Q coming out, but now they need to be careful because Team Fury Q have decided to drop down as well.
Yeah, but the landscape helps give this little extra cover, so Fury almost has to expose themselves a little bit just to be able to shoot at the team that's down underneath. Luckily, Rogue only has 1 player left. Now it's just about cleaning down the rest. Barrysol says, you know what? I'm going to turn things around as the R99, then the 30-30 Meowers. They've got 9 lives in them, and they're still left alive as they take game number 5.
Meowers meowing out here in game number 5, getting a beautiful victory. Heading into our last game, putting themselves in a pretty comfortable position here in the lead.
Gotta be feeling good sitting up with 72 points. I mean, they absolutely popped off in this game number 5. They had a pretty strong day thus far, but this definitely separates themselves from the rest of the pack. I mean, 13 kills to go along with those 12 placement points, a 25-point game. This now, it feels like for them, if they're not solidified in the first spot of this lobby, they're definitely top 3.
Yeah, they're looking.
They can go out. I'm saying
good.
like they can go out early is what I mean. Sorry, is what I mean that.
Yeah, no, they look good. Old Meowers at the moment, putting themselves in a great position heading into this last game. Looking fantastic, leading the way. They'd be pretty happy with themselves, Q, considering the position they played for majority of the game, underneath that bridge in a position, getting KP. I'm pretty sure they hit 7 kills before the round 5 started closing. So they had KP up their sleeves before the back end of that game. We'll go and have a look at the match summary, and it is going to be, well, we'll wait and see. A pretty big lead for Meowers. Meowers with 25 points. Fury sitting 2nd, Rogue 3rd, Gen Z 4th, and Reformed in a top 5. And with the series overall so far, you'd think Meowers looking pretty good so far, Q.
They are, by and large, far and ahead. And that was kind of leading the point that I was talking about. They could probably go out here early, and unless like Fury or Bitcoin to the moon were the ones that win with a decent game, they're probably finishing that top spot, which in a lobby that has otherwise had a decent amount of sponges towards the top of the leaderboard. Looking at Fury, Bitcoin to the moon, even SAT, the fact that there's 16-point difference between 1st and 2nd is kind of wild.
Yeah, insane. I mean, Fury have had 2 good games out of this whole set, and they are now sitting 2nd. So, pretty big from Fury. 29 placement points, 27 kills. So, they're getting the KP, but they're now starting to get the placement points on the board as well. So far, so good for the top 5. As we see, Meow is sitting 1st, Fury 2nd, Bitcoin to Moon 3rd, SAT 4th, and Rogue in the top 5. Let's go and have a look at our legend that is getting banned moving forward, and that is going to be no more Valkyrie here in game number 6. So, well, the legend bans have been pretty interesting, but very similar to what we're probably used to seeing, Q. And I think something that we're most likely going to see when we head towards the Pro League games as well. And that is Crypto, Sia, Valk, Mad Maggie, and Gibby all being banned here in our first lobby of our PLQ.
Yeah, we've kind of talked about in different ways, shapes, and forms over the course of the last 5 games, Stoney, and how impressive it is that it feels like Challengers Series teams very much starting to mimic that pro level side of play. So not surprised to see the bands mimicking that. And I think it allows just for teams looking to try to make their way to Pro League to have less that they have to adapt to once they do earn their way into the Pro League. So you love to see it. And yeah, this is very much a lot of what we've kind of seen throughout not only Split 1, but obviously at EWC as well.
Go and have a look at our map scene, and well, as we can see, Meow is getting their second win of today, and that is their biggest win. And that's crazy to say, considering how big their game 2 was with the 11 kills, 7.4k damage. They just dropped 13 kills with only 4.9k damage. So Meow is looking good here, Q. After our first 5 games, we do have only one more game left today, but they'd be pretty proud of themselves. What they need to do now, though, Q, is continue this, right? They need to continue the high. You really don't want to be playing 12 games tomorrow. You don't want to be playing 12 games tomorrow. It may be an advantage in the long run, but I still feel like this team would rather just get it over and done with tomorrow and head into the finals early.
Yeah, I think if there's anything that would have you feeling very comfortable, if you're not only a player of this Meowers roster, but a fan of Meowers who is watching right now, it's not so much the 2 wins, although that's very nice, but it's the fact that they've been able to keep a consistency of placement points and those KP throughout the day, because you anticipate tomorrow's lobby, the first one especially, should be a little tougher, right? That's going to include those 8 teams from Pro League and obviously those top 2 teams from Challengers that weren't into this one. So should be a little bit tighter, but if you're already showing the ability to bring a healthy dose of both placement and KP, yeah, I agree. You want to try and make sure you wrap up tomorrow quick, fast, in a hurry. I wouldn't want to have to go through a gauntlet of 12 games tomorrow, and then who knows how many games on Sunday. But let's take a look at our top 5 kill getters here through our 5 games. Empire Skull sitting at 19. Has a nice little gap between them and Noble, who sits in second, tied with Mark Lilly with 14. Barry Saul and Candle Trader, who makes their first appearance in the top 5 at 12. As far as our damage itself, Empire Skull still up in first place. First one over 10,000, and now pulling away actually a little bit in that game number 5. Vision Vex, Small Fish, Barry Saul, and Ning rounding out our top 5 damage getters.
Huge game by the lads over at Meowers. I mean, it's a team that I've seen a lot of. Jay, Bakary Boo. I think it's the first year he's not played, or I mean, it's not the first year he's not played, but with Silly Stepsis, right? It's a team that we always used to see Bakary Boo, Jay, as I know him, playing with Silly Stepsis. He now has 2 new teammates, Berry Cell and Bakary Boo. That's Jay. Empire Skull. And Empire Skull is showing that he deserves to be in that next stage, right? Pro League right now. The kid is amazing. He's got the talent and he's also got the confidence. And I think it is showing here today with the 10k damage so far after 5 games. It does look like we're about to get into game number 6 here, Q, as well. Is there a team that you're looking for that needs to get going? Now, there's one team I'm looking at, and that is Toboshu. I think Toboshu are way too good to be continuing to be a CC team. And I would really hate to see them continuing to be a CC team, because they're a team. Well, you'll get to watch Void Esports tomorrow, but they're like Void Esports, right? Yukoi, one of the best CC players, or really players that should be in Pro League after CC1. But with Toboshu, they're a team that I can see that will actually do okay if they can have consistent practice in Pro League. I feel like there's just a team that is, if you're in the CC and you just keep on winning, what do you really learn, right? I feel like you're just continuously being that team that dominates something but can't make it to that next stage, right? You're not learning anything at the end of the stages. So I would really like to Boshu to keep it going, or at least get it going in this game. But you have a look at the legend composition like they just chose there. It looks like they're going to be aggressive. That's the team I'm kind of looking for here in this last game.
Yeah, I mean, you took the word right out of my mouth. If there was a team that I was looking at in this lobby at the scoreboard, the way that is at heading into this 6th game, it's Toboshu. It feels like that's a team you really feel like should have been vying up, maybe even towards the podium itself. Now trying to vie to still make sure that they can have their shortest route possible to qualification into Pro League. Unfortunately for them as well, I don't think this is quite the zone that they're hoping for. For teams like Toshka, though, who are sitting quite a bit lower, they're sitting down that 18 spot, could be potentially helping them out. Remember, just one big pop-off with the fact that there is, I mean, only, 16 points between 20th and 10th? I mean, a big game here. Anyone can still put themselves in that top 10.
I mean, for Meowers, this could be one of those zones that pull back towards down beast. They don't have to move very far as well. So they're the best team in the lobby at the moment. And considering that they prioritize zone and still get KP, they'll be pretty happy with the position that they're at. Being at down beast as well, they get their weapon bins, they get their Evo harvesters that usually aren't too far away from them as well. Should be able to help them get to blue here early. Tosca now, though, looks like they might be getting into some gameplay against Scarlet Esports pretty early.
Who comes out on top is going to be the real question, as the double Mozambiques Beaks ain't going to land their shots. Tosca will be able to take the first advantage in this fight. They'll look to go and just secure this building. I don't know if they have the location on those last 2 players, but it's not going to stop them from going on the hunt. They know that they currently sit inside that bottom 5. They've got to move with a sense of urgency, and they've definitely got the composition to be able to do it. They haven't been able to spot them as of yet, though.
And they might be the first win they have, I think, against Scarlet Esports as well, because pretty sure Scarlet Esports have cleaned them up a couple of times here. It looks like Reforms. They're right on the tail. Oh, Boogsy, if he just hit that one more shot with that longbow, he would have got it down. As we can see, some beautiful nades coming out as well. Nice shot there as well in the backside. Boogsy moving Scarlet Esports now back down to Tosca. And Tosca need to be careful, because if Tosca overcommit here, you might see Reforms maybe try and get rid of them.
Yeah, I mean, Reform is already third party. They've been able to clean things up. And yeah, you mentioned they're now going to be pushing down this hill towards Tosca. Tosca had taken a knock. The good news for them is Reformed have Smile W directly behind them as well. That's actually slowed Reform down just a little bit, as now they'll look to push with this Wraith portal down into the building and see if they can get themselves a little bit of safety on the stairway.
Very lucky. They were very close to getting eliminated. And that's a small W that have made themselves into a position as well that they're pretty happy with. 19 squads still standing. It does look like maybe Timmy wants to take him towards that armory, or maybe that Prowler hut out the back.
That we haven't talked about where this zone is heading and where it kind of benefits them as Evil Seas Gaming. While all these teams have moved in towards the fighting, they've actually been able to rotate themselves and put themselves in a decent positioning on that height building up towards North Pat that will give them a good lay of the land. And there's a good chance that this thing does end up pulling more out into that direction. Only time will tell. As we do talk about teams like Smile W, they sit just inside the bubble. They don't necessarily need to feel the pressure of hunting down kills. They do need to make sure they can keep themselves alive, though. The Hours right now sit in that first spot. They're sitting at the 72 points, and for them, I mean, placement is really all you need in this game. We talked about for teams that, yeah, well, we've talked all day about simply getting into that top 10. You also want to be able to force yourself into that higher position for a better draft spot for tomorrow's games. They've been able to do just that for Meowers. They are looking the direction of Evil Seas Gaming, who I did mention earlier already have that high ground secured up here at North Pat.
Yeah, they have a pretty good spot, Evil Sea Gaming. Small W overlooking Meowers, I'm pretty sure at the moment with that 4 to 8 long. Oh no, there are 6 times on the longbow there, Timmy. Playing very casual and smart at the moment. Small W though, where are they sitting overall? 26 points on the board. And I'm pretty sure that's equal temp, so just inside that top 10. And like I said, I feel like 30 to 35 Q is going to be our cutoff from top 10, and these teams are really pushing it at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, with Meowers having sponged as much points as they have, and more than likely with the positioning that they've put themselves in, will also be able to soak up a bit of points here, maybe closer to that 30, but even still sitting at 26, they should feel relatively comfortable. I mentioned Evil Seas earlier just because we saw them have a very strong game number 1, but they've been silent since. They've unfortunately got caught on a couple of rotates that have put them out relatively early. They've gotten a zone here for game number 6. Let's see if maybe, just maybe, they can bookend their day and somehow find themselves in the top 10.
We're talking about Tosca, a team that really needed to get going. I'm pretty sure he's about to take that. Isn't that where the other team just took? Oh, no. They're chasing the man, and it does look like Tosca will get away for now. LP Warrior has played Axel all day. Doesn't look like it's really helped this team.
Yeah, definitely an interesting decision because I felt when we initially saw Axel release, I thought maybe there was going to be a chance, especially here in Apac-South, a region where in the past, notoriously, there's at least a couple of teams that like to take fights on the edge. Maybe we'd see more of it. Hasn't really found a success, I don't think, in any region. I don't know if it's just because teams haven't quite found the perfect way to adapt to it, or if maybe there just really isn't a place in the meta for Axel as it currently sits. But for now, you mentioned Tosca's going to have to fight uphill if they're going to make sure that they can qualify in.
I feel like it's kind of like when, you know, when Valk got rid of the... got rid of Valk and the moving in the air, and then obviously got rid of her fast ulting up into the sky as well. It became easier for people to shoot Valkyrie outside of the sky, right? I feel like that is where Axel's sitting at the moment. It's not like that ultimate for Axel is as strong as we thought it was at the start. It's very easy to shoot that gun out, especially if all 3 members are still standing. And in a lobby like this, I just feel like it kind of puts you in a position where you're putting yourself in a bad spot because you're trying to be too aggressive in some rotating in.
If anything, you're only going to be able to get value maybe early on, right, if you're playing edge, but once everything is kind of collected in and everyone's really trying to hunker down, there's not much you can do with it, definitely for sure. Tuboshu trying to fight their way in from just outside of the bubble, currently in 11th with 25 points. You know there's a pair of teams with 26, so they're not too far behind, and they're looking to try and see if they can pick up some early KP. They found some opening damage, but they haven't been able to find a knock as of yet.
And this is where it gets a little bit nervous times here for Tuboshu. You really don't want to be going out right now at 7-8 for no KP. This could be a elimination bracket angle right now if they do not win this fight. I don't know if there's any teams close enough to third party this. It does look like it is going to be a pretty clean 3v2 at the moment, and for Tuboshu, they may be able to clean this up without any worries, but they need to hurry up. I mean, it's getting a little bit scary at the moment.
I mean, the good news for them is a lot of the teams, since this is game number 6, have already put themselves very far up into the northwestern side of the map. This is indeed isolated down here at Cedo Station, and now you're just hunting down the one last lone player. It's the small fish who has very quickly learned that there is a bigger fish swimming where they're swimming, and it's time for dinner, and Tuboshu coming out to get it as they're looking to try and find some last shots while they're up in the air. Maybe just enough for small fish to find a little bit of safety.
Not bad shots. It does look like Tosca now looking to try. Oh my god, he got the bat off. Gen Z going to be a 1v2 situation. Tosca get the reset, but here comes the third party. Tosca going to get eliminated, and we may see Tosca having to make it through. Oh no, they're definitely going to have to make it through elimination bracket tomorrow to make it to the finals.
Gonna be even tougher for Toss because they're gonna have a pretty rough draft during that lobby as well, as they will be in that bottom of 5. I think maybe even finishing in that bottom 3 if my eyes doth not deceive me here. So we'll have to see as we get to that final leaderboard. But for now, KYP was a team that we talked about a lot during the first 3 games. They found a lot of success off of the back of their fighting, so much off the back of their placement, but they have been quiet since we've switched over to Storm Point. See if maybe they can finish off with an exclamation point here.
KPY are definitely a better team than what they've shown tonight. They're sitting not very good at the moment. Oh no, actually, they're probably going to be in that top 10, 35 points. They're definitely a lot better than that 35 points. They're a team that I have had my eye on for a while. And at the moment, it looks like they are trying to get some KP as teams are trying to make their way through Trident. And well, while they're holding Armory, they will need to be careful as it looks like a team moving up. And that is Lyra trying to get a little bit sneaky there with the Wraith.
Lyra knows that they've got to start moving with a different sort of pace here in this game number 6. They sit down in that 20th place, but we mentioned earlier, with only about 14 points separating them and that 10th spot, if you finish top 2 with a good handful of KP, there's still a chance that maybe, just maybe, you can sneak in to that top 10. Unfortunately for them, they also have to find a way to sneak their way in towards this zone. They'll be one of the last to the party.
Sat down to a solo. They get eliminated. KPY getting some KP. They need to be careful because here comes Orange. And, well, Orange, they need to be careful too because I feel like if they get eliminated right now here, Q, with 29 points on the board, they may be in a little bit of trouble. You can see the kickstart coming out. They nearly get down 1, but they put themselves in a pretty bad position, which is the open, and they need to be careful as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the thing that we've seen the most out of Axel, right? Is it almost gives you that extra confidence to play aggressive off of the back of that ult. Sometimes those players do get caught out. Not going to be the case this time around. They'll be able to stay as a full 3. Same thing here for KPY. Matter of fact, they've been able to kind of navigate the trenches relatively safely, and I think they've been able to find themselves a bunker that they'll be able to take over as well. You mentioned for Orange, they have to stay alive. They've been able to do just that, still sitting at 9.
DMA looking to try and stay alive. 13 squad still standing. As we can see, Meow was still alive as well, but only just hitting blue shield, so it's taken them a while. Longbow in the hand for Jay, as we can see. 13 squad's still alive. A lot more less teams than we're used to seeing around this time of the game.
Yeah, this game 6 mentality, and this is unfortunately the kind of nature of the beast when you have teams that are playing for their lives and trying to see if they can still move up into that top 10. And if Meowers can do a good job of holding down their bunker and start picking up KP in the back half of this lobby, it's going to make things incredibly interesting in this race right now for that 10th spot, because between 8th and 11th spot right now, it's through 9th and 11th spot, it's literally just 2 points.
Yeah, it's so close. You even look at Team Rogue, considering, right? They've had not the best day, but they've got 35 points on the board. Kills is something that they need to work on, but placement points is not a problem, right? So Rogue looking pretty good here to try and make that top 10. And sometimes all you need to do, Q, is make a top 10 on a Friday night and then make it again tomorrow. So put themselves in a pretty good position to just have 2 sets into a finals.
Might be the last game of today, but it is still, like you mentioned, trying to build up some momentum for the weekend. Would definitely be a good cap for their day, and would also push them up a little bit higher into the leaderboard, meaning a little bit better of a POI draft. And I think with Toboshu falling there, I believe that is going to finish them just outside the bubble. Meanwhile, DMA, who sits in 14th, is going to try and continue to push the needle, but I don't think they can hold off Bitcoin to the moon. But Bitcoin and Moon fall through this portal, and they've got teams coming in for the 3rd party.
Yeah, and they need to go back in and reset, but Meowers are right there as well, and it just feels like Meowers are always in the right spot at the moment. They know there's only 1 man left standing. DMA get eliminated. Bitcoin to Moon now down to a solo. And you'd think Meowers maybe understand the situation, and they'll be looking for this cleanup as well.
I think for Meowers, they realize that they've got themselves a good portion of this zone that is left, especially if you were to break this map up into like little quadrants. This southwestern side is all there. Skull also will have a little bit of extra confidence with the Kraber in their hand, especially with the unlimited ammo. They're going to be low and slow up this hill. They'll find somebody just inside, and they're going to look to make a push here.
Let's have a look. Skull getting it down as well, looking to try and get an angle. They know that there's a res happening at the moment. I think he's just waiting for that man that he knocked before to run past. Nearly getting it down again. Well, 11 squads left alive. Pretty scary guy to have a Kraber with right now, and that is the man from Meow's Empire Skull.
Lyra still has to make their way in towards the zone on this southeastern side, and there's quite a few squads that they're going to have to find their way past to be able to find some safety. You mentioned Meowers, who is also one of those squads down on this side. Oh my goodness, be able to put them down with the headshot here from the Kraber. Swaps over to the 9-9 to be able to apply additional pressure. Smile W will be out. They're in the 9th spot. They're going to have to hope no one passes them up.
Boys in trouble now. Skull needs to be careful. Does put the portal down in a pretty good spot. And if the boys can take that portal, I'm pretty sure this is Bitcoin to Moon. Oh no, it's Reformed. Skull does get away though for now. Needs to be careful though. Oh, it looks like he maybe accidentally put the portal in the air, so they aren't able to get into it. Empire Skull will be able to get the reset, but Bitcoin to Moon get the reset also. And that's the team that put the pressure in on them.
They are a duo, though, and we'll have to play the remainder of this as just the two, unless they have a Moby out here that they can find somewhere to safely put down. But it does look like they still have the duo of Meowers that is looking their way. And what a shot from Empire Skull. That should surely be the green light for Meowers to pounce.
This is just an Empire Skull show today. The man is moving in, trying to get some more KP. If he can get the Kraber out here and clean this up, would be impressive. Kraber still in the hand. It does look like he's just waiting for Jay to come in and help the cause, and they will get the job done. Round 5 though is underway. Well, they're gonna have to try and rotate in here, and but now they're okay. Evil Sea Gaming looking at a team over top of them. That's trying. Philo, we're trying to stay alive as well.
OG Evil Seas Gaming put themselves in a good spot on the side early. Oh my goodness, every time we switch over to Skull, he's landing shots with the Kraber. That time being no different. The Hours will slowly have to still walk their way on in, and they are looking the direction of a pair of teams. It's Trifalo along with Evil Seas Gaming, who's trying to find a spot in this final circle.
The best thing about this here is Skull does have the portal up his sleeves, and as we've seen, I'm pretty sure we watched, what was it, Pro League Split 1 Regionals. Oh my god, Granny, sit down, and they're going to move in on that portal. They get to jump into the phase driver as well and be able to move in to try and clean this up. The Kraber in the hand for Skull right now is just proving to be so dangerous here on this last map.
This is huge because for Meowers, they're technically pushing a duo up on this far most northern side of this little little island stick. Oh my god, another one with a big headshot from Skull, and that should surely be enough of an opening to push forward, except the only problem is that the Newcastle that sits on the other side, they've already been able to get a reset. Newcastle wall goes down, and now they've fortified their position.
Oh, if you could see my face right now, I have my hands in my head and my face, because this man, Empire Skull, at the moment is making this lobby his own as they are moving in. He has 2100 damage. He has the unlimited Kraber, has the unlimited R9, and he is putting in as much work as possible for Meowers to get a back-to-back victory. He's given back shots, front shots, headshots. He doesn't give a shit. 3 squads left standing.
They get to be the ones who come in and play custodial duty, because it is going to be Evil Seas playing against Trifilo. No, actually, Trifilo is still fully healthy, which means they're going to be in a full 3v3 here with Meowers, and Meowers will technically be the first team that suffers a knock. It's going to have to be the Wraith that tries to find some safety as Barry Saul's back onto their feet.
The Newcastle will come out to Rez. I don't like his chances here. This is going to be a Trifilo game 6 of victory, and Meow was nearly getting the job done. Q, just not enough as Trifilo get a well-deserved victory.
And Trifilo entered game number 6 in the 14th spot. They started this game with just 18 points. We said how anybody down in that back half of the lobby still had the chance to be able to push themselves into the top 10, and Trifilo does just that, finishing in the 8th spot.
What a victory for the boys of Trifilo. And like you said, this is where it gets interesting. We need to see which teams are making their way to winners round 2 tomorrow. Meows definitely cementing that first spot for this lobby, but it's going to be interesting to see which teams have cemented their spot here as well for game number. Oh, it looks like I may have added the wrong game. Let me fix that for you.
Mentioned Meowers dominating on the day, 93 points, but it is going to be close when we talk about spots 9, 10, and 11 here for our first lobby to kick off split number 2's qualifiers, Tony.
Go and have a look. I'm pretty sure I fixed it now. It is going to be a Trifilo victory here for game number 6 and a 7-kill victory. Let's go and have a look at the match summary.
6-7.
Our last game, and it is going to be a 19-kill win. A 19-point win for Trifilo. Meows with a 21-point game 6, which basically says they cement their 11th pick for tomorrow. We'll go and have a look at the series overall, in which 10 are making their way to winners round 2.
Let's see who made the cut and who is going to have a longer road to try to qualify for the Pro League. And it's Meowers, Bitcoin, Fury, SAT, KPY, Rogue, Reform, Trifilo, Gen Z, and Orange rounding out the top 10. It's a 2-point gap between 10th and 11th there, Stoney.
Insane. And like I said, I feel like it was about to be the 30-point cutoff in between 30 to 35. And if you're Toboshu, you don't have to be too upset. Yes, okay, you've only got one more chance to make the finals lobby, but they only got to play one time tomorrow, right? They're not playing 12 games. They play 6 games. 6 games to make a top 10. They just need to lock in. So everyone in that bottom 10, don't be too upset with yourselves. You've really only got to worry about that one lobby tomorrow. So lock in, get some rest, and show up and perform. For the top 10, though, here today, this is what they need to do, though, Q. As you know, consistency is key. And if you're Meowers, you're looking to try and keep that rolling into tomorrow. 49 kills and 44 placement points is a pure domination of a lobby.
Yeah, very, very big domination of a lobby. And I felt like Meowers were doing it more from like center zone. It's not like they were like really playing more hard edge and kind of picking up scraps. They were a team that were finding themselves good positions and then just taking very good fights, and they looked strong in those isolated 3v3. So keeping in mind tomorrow, of course, you do add in those 8 teams that are relegated, that were added into the relegation process. This will be a little bit stiffer of a lobby. We'll be interested to see how they perform tomorrow. I think the one point that I did want to add, just so you were talking about those teams in the bottom 10, I think the big thing for Toboshu, 6 placement points. If you were able to find just 1 or 2 decent top 5 placements, that's the difference, or even just 1 top 5, it's the difference between qualifying and not qualifying. I mean, there's 5 teams ahead of them, Stoney, that had less KP than them, but they're going to have the longest road if they're going to try and find their way into the Pro League.
100%. And I feel like that's a little bit disheartening, I guess, for the teams that are in that top 10. Like, from tonight, you guys don't make that top 10 tomorrow. You may have to play again. Well, you actually definitely have to play again. So it's tough times for those teams. So let's go and have a look at the winners. And well, Meowers, they could have gone 3 wins out of 6, 2 on Storm Point, which would have been a massive day. But to finish where they did, Q, considering, still huge. Because I'm pretty sure they had 12 kills and a 2nd place for that game, which, if they had the victory, would have ended with a 15-kill game. And their biggest win of today, considering they've had 11 kill and a 13-kill victory as well.
And I feel like we've been talking about Meowers ad nauseum here at the end of this series, and rightfully so, right? 30 points ahead of second place. One thing that stands out to me, though, with this graphic that's on our screen, remember after game number 3, Bitcoin to the Moon was only at like 16 points or something like that. It was after that match 4, they went on a roll on Storm Point, which pushed them up into second place as well. So we've had quite a story between our top 2 teams on the day.
That we have. So far, so let's go and have a look though, Q, at our top 5 kills and damage leaders of today before we get back into some more games tomorrow.
Let's take a look at it. Who are our top performers and see who was fragging out of their minds. Empire Skull, can't say we're surprised about that one. Had the crazy cams there at the end. 24 kills through our 6 games here today. Mark Lillian second, Barry Saul in third, Fury Noble in fourth, and Small Fish rounding out our top 5. Kind of crazy to think it's an 11 kill difference between first and fifth. That's just how good of a day Empire Skull had. I mean, even look at the damage, almost just about 4.5k difference, 4.3k difference between them and Vision Vex in second. Small Fish, Bakery Boo, and Barry Saul rounding out the top 5.
I think the difference for tomorrow that will matter for the teams is the different quality that they're going up against. Considering the teams that we know and have watched in those first 5, 9, 10 weeks, whatever the hell we watched Pro League for, was a bloody long time. Empire Skull has a lot to prove tomorrow, as do Meowers and the top 10. Now, we've only seen the 20, I think it's the 22nd to or 12th to 30th teams, best teams in the region. We're still missing the top 2 teams from CC, which is Void Esports, and I'm pretty sure I'm missing the other one, but also with the 8 Pro League regulated teams, it's going to be a big day tomorrow for these 10 teams that have made their way through.
Yeah, and I think this is like the tough part too, is the 10 teams who have got top 10 today. You've set yourself up to have the shortest road to qualify for Pro League. You end up falling into that top, if you end up falling into that bottom 10 tomorrow, now all of a sudden you're having to play that 12 games, which is, I mean, a marathon, just to be able to give yourself a chance in the final lobby of being in that top 8. So the job, you got the first check mark done. I guess ode to Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant. Job's not finished, man. You got to make sure you show up tomorrow. Locked in.
There's a lot of games left this weekend. There is over 18 games left this weekend, and that is for the teams that made top 10, right? If you don't make the top 10 tomorrow in the winners round 2, you are going again to try and make it again straight after. So that's it for us. Q's the first stream back since regional finals. It's been so much fun to be back here again with all you guys here today for winners round 1. We have 3 more lobbies left this weekend, and we're going to see which 8 teams are going to be making their way to Pro League on Sunday. Well, Q, let's send everyone home and get back here tomorrow at lunchtime and midnight for you tomorrow.
Yeah, make sure you guys are tapped in, because it's just a short 15.5 hours away before we head back to the skies for some more Apex. If it's your first time through, you haven't done so, hit that follow button below. Turn those notifications on. If you're over on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Ring that bell. Until we catch y'all back for the next one, man, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard, love hard. All right, y'all, that's Stoney. I'm Q. For the rest of the crew here from the front to the back, y'all have a great rest of your night. Peace. We'll catch y'all tomorrow.